Like every year, this year we are very excited to bring to you the overall analysis of Clat 2026, which was held today on 7 December from 2 to 4 p.m. And all our expert teachers have solved the paper. They have given in their opinions and advice. And I bring you the crux of Clat 2026. This overall analysis will introduce you to everything that went on in the paper, the nature of the questions, the different types of passages, any errors in any questions, and the most important thing, the overall cutoff. So let's begin. This exam was conducted by the consortium of NLUs like every year, and it was an offline paper. There were no major glitches reported anywhere so far that we have got the news. And the 3 OMR system, 1 copy with the consortium, 1 copy with the regional head, and 1 copy with the student, has been done to ensure transparency with the answers and the scores once they are released. So overall, the paper was lengthy though easy. The paper was lengthy though easy. So if you went and did all the AR questions or all the maths questions, the overall paper was lengthy though easy. There were very few and far between tricky questions as reported by different section experts who have done this paper. I mean, I solved the English section, I solved the critical reasoning section. So very, very few tricky questions. So most of the questions were quite straightforward if you knew the topics. A general sense of knowing, a general sense of awareness was something that could have brought you a lot of ease in the paper in terms of familiarity with the passages, in terms of overall reading, because very standardized passages were used. Things that were in the news, things that you would know. In fact, English passages would be something that you would have done in a GK classroom at Clat possible. So an overall adherence to standard knowledge and awareness for students of this age group was seen in this paper. So cutoff is expected to be in and around the same zone as last year, maybe a notch higher. So we begin section-wise. The English section, as always, had 24 questions, no major surprises there. A major surprise, however, was the missing critical reasoning. So this year, breaking a barrier of almost 6 years, where critical reasoning was always the hallmark of the logical reasoning section, as per the new format of the paper introduced by Professor Faizan in the year 2020, where it was supposed to be a reading-based paper, and all law is logic is what he said and what Aristotle said actually. So CR did the missing act like a major missing act. And I think the pain of students would be visible because of endless CR classes and endless practice they did and the way they worked on their reading skills. So that was something which maybe some students would have been very disappointed with. So one doesn't know why this step was taken, why it was not balanced between critical reasoning and analytical reasoning, because frankly speaking, a law student would deal more with critical reasoning than with analytical reasoning. So it appeared to be like an IP Mat paper with the analytical reasoning. So coming back to English, no major surprises in the English section. There were 24 questions. We pitch a good score at least 21 plus marks. And for any law school, 18 plus marks is something that a candidate should have been able to get. Majorly specific detailed questions, all answers were in the passage. Very, very few, 1 or 2 answers that you needed to probably go back to the passage. But if you are a good reader, you did not even have to go back and check the answer in the passage. Options were very far and wide. No close options could be seen. Questions had a standard of central idea question, 1 vocabulary question, an inference-like question, but as I said, answers were already in the passage, and there were 2 figures of speech questions in 2 passages that you could see. So typical RC based questions, which is read the passage, mark the answer, was the style of the English section. Overall, the section was easy, hence a good score would be definitely above 21.5 marks. And these were the passages, standardized passages, as I have told you. Animal Farm by George Orwell, The Hungry Stones by Tagore, and Fukuyama's Origin of the Political Order. So this passage is there in our RC books. If you have solved our RC books, of course, here the passage is almost 320 words, but we have given you a longish Fukuyama passage. Animal Farm is at least there in 3 of our mocks. We will be coming back and telling you which mocks we have given it. A Brief History of Humankind, a very standard text by Yuval Noah Harari. And India's Struggle for Independence by Bipin Chandra. We have done this in our GK classes, definitely. So if you see, very standardized list of topics that were found. Coming to current affairs, I'll be joined by Aditya Vaklu, who you have seen in the first impressions.
Hi, everyone. So just another comment on the English section. I think overall in this paper, as ma'am emphasized, the reading part was somewhat de-emphasized. This was also clear by the length of the passages. Overall, the length of the passages was low. Each and every passage mentioned how many words it had. Most passages were sub 300. Very few passages even reached 300, 330 words. Okay, so reading was somewhat de-emphasized. I think possibly they might have done it in order not to disadvantage people for whom English is not a mother language or core language. So it's possible that may have been the motivation behind this move. At any rate, when we come to the GK and current affairs section, first let's have a look at the topics. So we had US policies, H1B, MAGA, tariffs. Next, we had one whole sports passage which dealt with grandmasters, the chess champion, the first ever, which AI defeated Garry Kasparov. Then we also had where the chess World Cup was held, and that was in India. So that was a core current affairs topic. Then we had Pahalgam, and linked to that SAARC and Indus Waters Treaty. We had SCO, key, absolutely relevant, absolutely predicted. And finally, we had the Air India crash. Significant in the news, but not so expected. Okay.
But now, I remember the evening sessions. I clearly remember today's Indus Water Treaty session, or it's the chess session. So if you go back to even our YouTube channel, all the evening sessions that all our GK teachers, including Aditya, Ananya and Satyam, have taken. So I remember these topics are like in our timetables. So I'm really, really hoping that students went there and had a feeling of been there and done that.
Yeah, I mean, at least 4 out of 5 were directly covered, not just in the last lap, in mocks, in our final 25 topics, in our top 25 list. Okay.
So did these topics make it to our final 25 list?
Yeah, I think possibly, other than Air India crash, and that too associated with other topics was there. But the first 4 were done in so much depth that I think none of you would have had a problem with solving these questions. So considering that, let's have a look. So 28 questions, 2 less than the usual, right? The range is 28 to 32 as per the pattern. So this year they gave the low end of the spectrum, 28. And the 2 questions which they took away from here were rather given in logical reason. Logical reason. Okay. So we think a good score here, by good score we mean top 3 NLUs. It should be about 23. Okay. And for a good cutoff score, meaning for all NLUs, we think around 18, perhaps even 17. Okay. Why do we say this? Because the SCO topic, the Pahalgam topic, and the US policies topic, these were absolutely easy. Okay, these were easy and direct. Even if you had done the topic in a sort of relatively cursory way, you would probably know the answers. Chess is somewhat niche, right? Some people don't study sports in that much detail. We have, of course, covered it. We did, Satyam sir took 2 detailed sessions on sports. So if you had done any of those, in fact, the most perhaps obscure question that came, the first ever world chess champion, that too we had given in a ALET mock. Okay. In fact, when we had given it in the mock, we discussed, is this too much? And then lo and behold, it turns up in the exam. Of course, children, we are not
children were complaining, but
yeah, many people
I'm sure
complain.
They were happy about it now.
Of course, that's not to say we are clairvoyant or anything of that variety. It's just that we thought we'll give it. It's a tough question, but good that it came. But chess is a somewhat niche one. Air India crash, somewhat random and very arcane facts were asked. What is the nationality of the one sole survivor? Which type of plane is it that crashed? Was still okay.
Yeah.
Where is the Memorial Trust headquartered? Is again too obscure. Okay. So considering all of these facts, 3 very easy and direct topics, 1 slightly obscure topic with some obscure questions, and chess 1 slightly niche topic.
Where the flight was going was okay, the type of plane was okay.
Correct.
But nationality of the survivor.
Right. So considering that, we say 23 as a good score for top 3 NLUs and 18 or 17 as an overall cutoff. Remember, with these cutoffs, not everyone will have done all sections well. Not everyone will have done all sections poorly.
This is representative of a balanced section.
Correct. Like you can't just add it all together and just get some random number. So you have to read it in that fashion. Okay. So I think that covers it. This year, only 1 or 2 questions were derivable from the passage.
Okay. Unlike last year, which were 12.
Yeah, last year, lots of questions were derivable. This year, only 1 or 2 questions derivable. I remember many students demanded that we give derivable questions in the mock. But we always thought in GK, it is better if you know it as opposed to relying on the possibility that you find the answer in the passage. Okay. So that's on current affairs.
So coming to the math section, again, standardized section was there of 12 questions as always. And the questions per se were easy. So many people from a maths background could have actually gotten all correct answers here. And for a change, there were no errors as such in the math section. There are some errors in the logical reasoning section. We'll come to that later. So while the questions were easy, it was a slightly lengthy section. Keeping all permutations and combinations in mind, we feel that a good score for maths would have been 8+. And a cutoff score, definitely, if someone got stuck in some section or reached maths late, still would have been able to do 1 set easily. So 6 questions, 2 sets. There were all passage-based questions, again, keeping in mind the reading-based thing that Clat is vouching for. So visual data was not given, just like last year, but the passages could have been drawn into a visual data as they were doable. So 1 set was super easy and 1 set had calculation heavy. That's why we feel that 8 and 5 would be a good score, though the section with the calculation heavy set became lengthy. Based on ratios and percentages, that's what I always maintain, that if nothing, just work on your arithmetic and maths and try to get into a range of 6 to 8 marks in the math section. So that's what I've always maintained. Focus at least on arithmetic percentages and ratios. Then coming to logical reasoning. Now this section came with our big surprise, as opposed to all the precedents set in the previous years. There was just 1 basic critical reasoning set. That too was also based on, decision making based on data and collation of data. Rest of them were all AR sets, which was 18 questions and 7 questions from the critical reasoning set. So this year, the whole Clat section was overturned. which earlier used to be a 28% analytical reasoning to 72% CR ratio, was now 72% AR to 28% analytical reasoning ratio. And in this one question in blood relations was incorrect. This incorrect question we will discuss in detail when we come to the detailed analysis of the AR or the logical reasoning paper. As I mentioned earlier, since Clat and legal is about logic or critical reasoning, this was a huge surprise because it appeared to be like a IP mat formatted AR or LR section rather than a Clat formatted AR or LR section. So critical reasoning was horribly missing, and even the set that was there, while the nomenclature of the questions was very heavy duty, flaw in reasoning, etc. So they borrowed all the terms, but the question lacked the innate critical thinking concepts in them. They were lifted from the passage and were a lot like extremely easy. If you had attempted it, you should not have seen it and said, oh my God, they're using heavy duty terms on the questions. But within the questions, the options were very, very simple. So a good score should be in the range of 18 plus, one extra question in logical reasoning, around 25 questions there, and a cutoff score would be, 14 plus definitely for any law school. And then finally coming to legal reasoning. Legal reasoning had 30 questions. So between 28 to 32, it stuck to the pattern of 30 questions. These were easy to doable questions if you have been practicing legal reasoning in our classes. And a great thing was that a lot of legal knowledge questions were asked, around 7 legal knowledge questions were asked, but all the legal knowledge questions were done either in the legal classroom or in the GK classroom, right? So 20 would be a definite cutoff score for any NLU, and 25 is going to be a good score. It was a moderate section, easy to moderate, not very lengthy in terms of execution also. Therefore, a score of 25 in the set time of 25 to 30 minutes was easily achievable. The passages covered in the legal reasoning section is one nation policy, one nation, one election, preamble to the constitution, you would have done in both GK and legal classes. Again, constitution, good governance, Manoj Narula versus UDI. So all these topics were covered either in the polity class of GK or in legal. Then governor's assent to bills, the Tamil Nadu case, and same-sex marriage, legal status, again something which has been asked a lot in our mocks as well. So all the legal passages, 5 on 5, you would find not just in our last lab sheets, in our practice sheets, but also in the mocks, and discussed probably to death. So I think students would have done fairly well, and hence the cutoff for the legal section looks higher than usual. So coming to the expected cutoffs, ladies and gentlemen, please remember the cutoff overall that is written is not just a direct addition of these. These are representative scores, ideally to be achieved for top 3 NLUs in different sections. Of course, some of you are going to score higher than this score, and 1 or 2 sections you may score lower than this score, right? So if you are scoring in this range with plus minus numbers, so this is just representative of that section with regular errors that you may commit. But definitely some of you would look at a 24 in English or a 28 in legal, or maybe just a 20 in GK. So the range is divided. Simply by adding, you don't get the score. So that's why a range of score is given. 95 to 100 would be a cutoff for top 3 NLUs, right? So which is, a more than ideal score for every section that has been written over there. And the sections were definitely easy to moderate, more easy than moderate. Some sections were lengthy, but the question did not really impress upon too much of the faculties of your mind to sort of think a lot. So it wasn't as if you were stuck in any option, but yes, some calculations, some some set making could have required more of your time. So 95 to 100, ladies and gentlemen, is our cutoff score for top 3. And for any category, for any NLU, it would be over the first 2 or 3 lists would be 77 to 82 marks, with 85 plus going as the first list, but coming back to second and third list would be in the range of 77 to 82 marks. So that is for any NLU, any 20 of the 26 NLUs here. So let us know what you think about these cutoffs. Let us know what you would like to ask us regarding different sections or different cutoffs. We will be coming back with detailed section analysis with all our top mentors and our most experienced teachers who are going to spend time on every section. So hang around and you can see your section and your overall performance in the paper. And you can check your answers with our detailed analysis. Our answer key is going to be uploaded very, very shortly. Once our detailed section analysis commences, then tomorrow and day after, based on the cutoffs, based on your performance, we will be taking up, overall counseling process video also over here. So I will be returning with the NLU counseling process once the answer key is released by the NLUs as well. So that is all from overall analysis from my side, and we are going to launch into detailed section analysis in the next 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hi. So let's now start with the specific question by question analysis of the legal section. So you all know us, of course, Aditya Vaklu and Bhavtosh sir.
Hi.
We'll be dealing with this. So we have a scan of the entire paper. Let's go directly. Now you'll all realize, of course, that all of you had questions and sections in a different order. Okay. That obviously is done as an anti-cheating method. So don't worry about it if the question order was different in your case. It's not a matter of concern.
But yeah, prima facie, the legal section looks very good. It's mostly derivable, of course, the way we do legal aptitude, but also with a mix of legal knowledge-based questions that you have done. I believe, at least for Clat possible students, I can say that these topics have been thoroughly taught and covered in the classes. So it would not be a problem even for legal GK. Okay, so this is the order. So this passage is particularly based on legal GK. Only 2 questions are derivable. Two questions are in the entire passage. If you look at the passage, this passage is basically based on governance, and this is one nation policy that Aditya sir will talk about. And let me just give you a brief of this. There were 2 questions in this entire passage which are based on passage, as in you could have derived from the passage, and rest of the 4 questions are based on your personal knowledge. That if you have covered this topic, then you would. I'm sure you must have been able to do it. So please.
All right. So this is one of the 2 passages primarily based on legal knowledge, whereas the remaining passages basically were of the legal or critical reasoning type. So this is on one nation, one dash policies. So one nation, one election, one ration card.
Also talks about GST.
GST is also mentioned, so that formed a link with this year's GST 2.0 reforms as well. So let's now come directly to the questions and let's go through them and get the answers. Okay, so the first question asked, what is the underlying idea behind the one nation policies of the government? So it asked the underlying idea. It was absolutely direct from the first para of this passage. Okay, so in the first para, it provided that the idea is to embrace policy measures applying uniform solutions to disparate policy dilemmas. Okay, so one part you get from here, uniform solutions, and the other part you get is here to replace the desire. Okay, so you saw the words underlying idea, the desire to replace existing patchwork of state specific policies with measures that are identical across the length and breadth of India. So from these two portions, it was absolutely clear that the answer to question 67 should be option B, to apply uniform solutions across India, replacing state specific variations. So option B will be the answer to this particular question. Okay, I hope this is clear. This was one of the questions which could have been answered from the passage. The next 3 or 4 questions were basically legal knowledge. They might as well have put these in the general knowledge section. Okay, so this asked which amendment bill deals with simultaneous state and national elections. So this asked the number of the amendment bill. Don't be confused. This is not about the act. Simultaneous elections have not been passed yet. They have not actually become the law of the land.
Only a bill.
So which amendment bill? Okay. The answer to this will of course be option A. The 129th amendment bill. Okay. So option A, 129th amendment bill will be the answer to this particular question. Next, we had which committee or report has discussed the feasibility of simultaneous elections in India. Okay, so this gave us multiple options. Now see, one option was absolutely irrelevant. Okay, one option was absolutely irrelevant, that is option A. Justice Verma committee was formed in the aftermath of the Nirbhaya rape case and mainly dealt with laws associated with that. Okay, these 3 were plausible mainly because Punchi and Sarkaria deal with center-state relations. But the answer to this question will be option
So this is actually, you know, there would be a smart guess also, it would work. If you look at the question, it's talking about the feasibility of simultaneous elections in India, which is relatively a newer concept, right? In recent times, it's happening. So if you look at other options, option C and D, these are very old years. You know, it should not be relating to the elections and their disputes. So only one probable choice would be the report from 2018, which is a relatively newer report, right?
So in fact, this was a specific report on this particular.
So even if you did not know the answer, you could have guessed it right.
Okay, so the answer to this question will be the Law Commission of India report. That is option B. Next we have a high-level committee was constituted by the government to examine the policy of one nation, one election. Obviously, you know, this was chaired by former President of India, Sri Ram Nath Kovind, right? Who was actually the second Dalit President of India as well. Okay, so Sri Ram Nath Kovind, option A is the answer to chair of the high-level committee. The next question, absolutely from GK, deals with the GST 2.0 reforms which took place after Independence Day this year, right? The initial announcement made on Independence Day and then enforced a few months later. So what are the 3 rates? The 3 rates will be 5, 18 and 40%. So option D, 71, the answer will be option D, 5, 18 and 40%. So one question till now, passage based, 4 questions based on prior knowledge. Last question once again was based on the passage. it asked the object of One Nation, One Ration Card scheme is to benefit which section of
the migrant laborers
people.
strictly derivable from the passage.
So C, migrant laborers is the correct answer. This is something we get directly from the passage.
It's mentioned in the end.
Yes.
Towards the end.
So let's have a look at that portion. You see it here. This is the paragraph on One Nation, One Ration Card. What does it say? This scheme was intended to increase access to welfare benefits, especially for millions of internal migrants in India without a fixed place of residence. So it mentions internal migrants. This is the specific category of people for whom this scheme is intended. Okay, so that covers passage number 1, largely legal knowledge based, just 2 out of 6 questions based on legal, not even legal reasoning, but rather more like reading comprehension of English, right? Not even
the passage which is the next passage, it also has the same pattern. If you look at the entire passage, the total number of questions which are derivable from the passage are just 2 questions strictly based on the passage, on the reading of the passage, and 4 questions are based on knowledge rather than aptitude or requiring any kind of reasoning. Okay, so yeah, let's look at the passage. This is about the constitution and preamble. And
all right, so in this passage, this is an extract from B. Shiva Rao's seminal work called The Framing of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so B. Shiva Rao was a very prominent person. His entire family is associated with the independence struggle of India, and he wrote this seminal work on the framing of India's constitution. Largely, this passage was about the preamble. 2, maximum 3 questions were derivable from the passage. Rest again were based on legal knowledge. So let's see the questions.
The first question,
yes. The first question flags, according to the passage, the relationship between the constitution and the preamble can best be described as.
Okay, at the top.
Yes. Now, in the passage, it is made clear that the constitution was drafted in light of the preamble, and the preamble was drafted in light of the constitution.
Particularly, if you look at this line, not only was the constitution framed in the light of the preamble, but the preamble was ultimately settled in the light of the constitution. That clearly shows that both the provisions were framed keeping in consideration the other provision. Right, sir?
Correct. Absolutely. So that's how this particular question would be answered. So any option which suggested that both are independent and not related to each other would be incorrect.
Yeah.
So coming now to the question, let's see the options. The preamble was drafted in isolation. The word isolation makes this option incorrect. Option B, the constitution and preamble were framed independent of each other. This word makes it wrong. If it had said interdependent, we could still have considered this option. C says both the constitution and the preamble were shaped in light of each other, directly given in the passage. D says the preamble had no relevance to the constitution.
Anyways, a visibly wrong option.
Visibly, clearly, patently incorrect option. Let's now come to the next question.
Now we have legal GK based questions.
So this next question,
this is derivable,
was still derivable from the passage. Because it asked, what did the earliest draft of the preamble emphasize? Now, this is something, this history we get once again in the passage, where the passage tells us that the earliest draft of the preamble was formal and simply read, "We the people seeking to promote the common good do through our chosen representatives adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution." Okay, so this word formal was a hint in the passage for this particular
clearly given in
question.
option C.
So if you see 74, as Sir said, C, the earliest draft emphasized formal enactment by the people through representatives. Okay,
right.
This was possibly a trick question,
Yeah.
because you would easily want to mark A or B or D for donkey.
No, but even if you have decent knowledge on constitution, you would know that these words were added later on, like secularism was added later on, unity and integrity was added later on. So by some guesswork also you could have reached the right answer.
Actually, B, 2 words were added by 42nd
Yeah,
amendment.
exactly.
D, 1 word was added by 42nd. So B and D could anyway have been eliminated.
Correct, correct.
But based on the passage, it is clear C will be the answer.
Now we have legal knowledge based questions. Both the questions are based on legal knowledge.
All right. So these next questions are legal knowledge. Basically, remember, if you've given Clat already, that's all right. But anyone giving Clat in the future, it's vital. Basics of preamble always have to be known.
Yeah.
It's sort of the substratum, the foundation of
Right.
all of the law and the constitution. So what is not enshrined in the preamble of the constitution? Equality of status and opportunity, it is there. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, there. Justice, moral, ethical, legal. Now remember, justice is there, but not moral, not ethical.
Yeah.
Okay, all of these 3 are wrong. It says justice, economic, political, social.
Yeah.
Okay, not moral, ethical, legal. If it had said justice, social, economic, and political,
Would have been correct.
that would have made the answer correct. Okay, so this is the reason that C is the right answer.
Because this statement is wrong. Yeah.
Yes, the question asked not enshrined.
Correct.
So C is correct. D, of course, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual, is present. Next, always a key. You always have to remember this order. It's not the first time. In the old pattern also, this question has been asked. I participated in a quiz during college. It was asked there. This is always relevant. So after the 42nd amendment, meaning since 1976, the preamble describes the country as sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So option A is the correct answer for 76.
Now this is based on passage, directly derivable from the passage. If you look at the last few lines of the passage, 5 to 7 lines from the bottom.
Yes. So the key thing to know here, preamble of the constitution is finally based on. Right. So this meant it was directly from the passage. Though I would say, even if you don't read the passage, the answer is still the same.
Could have answered it.
Okay. Answer is still A,
right.
Objectives, resolution. But sir, which part of the passage?
So this is the last few lines. Go to the passage, please.
Yes.
Here it is. Without any change, with the recognition of that state that the preamble would be finally based on objective resolution. So clearly, directly picked up from the passage. Even if you did not know the answer, you would have still marked it right.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I hope this is clear. We are nearing the end of the second passage. Now we have the next question. What was the role of Sir B.N. Rao, Benegal Narsingh Rao, in the making of the constitution?
This is again a knowledge-based question.
Clearly knowledge-based. He was the constitutional advisor. I hope you all know Chairman Chairman of Drafting Committee, B.R. Ambedkar, President of Constituent Assembly, actually called Chairman, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Constitutional Advisor, Shri Benegal Narsingh Rao.
Such simple concept, specifically from the basics of the constitution, you would have known for sure.
And we've done this in the GK and current affairs classes in great detail.
Thoroughly.
So always remember, even in English, you had a passage on modern Indian history. Always remember modern Indian history as well as framing of the constitution. These two topics are evergreen for Clat. Okay. He was a very accomplished guy, you know. He in a span of 5 or 6 years, Shri B.N. Rao served as Prime Minister of then princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. He served as President of UN Security Council on behalf of India. He served as Constitutional Advisor to Constituent Assembly. He helped draft the Constitution of Myanmar. And finally, he served as India's first judge of the International Court of Justice. Okay, so very prominent figure in Indian history. Let's now come to the next. This passage directly concerned. So it started with good governance. This is actually an extract directly from a Supreme Court judgment. That is Manoj Narula versus Union of
which is
India.
mentioned in the end also. And the best part of this passage is that all questions are strictly purely derivable from the passage. There was not a single question that required you to have any outside knowledge or personal knowledge or background information related to the topic. Not at all. All questions, all 6 questions are derivable. And in my personal opinion, all 6 questions could have been done right. I think that the level of difficulty was absolutely easy because all of the questions are found in the passage itself. So for question number 79, the question is asking that the court cannot decide what is good or bad governance, but it can. What can the court do? So if you look at the top of the passage, a few lines from the beginning, you will find this. Yeah, so no doubt it is mentioned what is good or bad is not for the court to decide, but the court can always indicate. This is what the question is asking, that what the court can indicate, right? Understand the constitutional ethos on goodness, good governance and purity in administration, etc. So if you look at option B is exactly picked up from this sentence and therefore becomes the right answer. Okay, yeah, option B is exactly the same. Okay, very simple question. Then we have the next question, which is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar believed that the working of the constitution ultimately depends on. The correct answer for this is B, and this is also found in the passage according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Yeah, so according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, such things were only to be left to the good sense of the Prime Minister and for that matter the Chief Minister of the state. Again, clearly derivable from the passage. You can see B for Bangalore is the right answer.
So all you had to do is just infer from the specific statement of Dr. Ambedkar. You simply had to relate it to the general statement that the working of the constitution depends on the good sense and integrity of those who will administer the constitution. In fact, there is a famous speech of his where he used the word, the constitution may be whatever, it will turn out to be good or bad based on the people who have to work the constitution. Right? Okay, so that is why B for Bombay, derivable from the passage, will be the answer to question number 8. Let's now come to question 81, which says the court, while respecting the prerogative of the PM and the CM to select ministers, emphasized that. So basically the court recognized that yes, it is the prerogative or the right of the PM or CM to choose the ministers. But what did the court emphasize?
In the sense, there was a caution issued by the court, right, at the same time, which is directly, you can find in the passage, last 3 to 4 lines. Yeah. So we read it from here. Duties faithfully and conscious will be well advised to consider avoiding any person in the Council of Ministers against whom there might be confusion here. Okay, I'll explain how. Against whom charges have been framed. Charges have been framed. We are not talking about a person against whom a judgment has come up, or we are not talking about a person who has been arrested or against whom a criminal case has been filed. We are talking specifically about a person against whom charges have been framed. This is an official process, right? And if you look at option A of question number 81, then it is directly derivable from here. Also, charges of moral turpitude, right? Not just general charges. Charges involving moral turpitude. Okay. Question number 82. Now, what role does the court assume as described in the passage regarding governance and appointments to the Council of Ministers? So, what role does the court assume? Now, they're asking, ki court ka kya role? What is the duty of the court? So the duty of the court is again also found in the passage. Yeah. The second paragraph, first few lines. No doubt, it is not for the court to issue any direction to the Prime Minister or the CM, as the case may be, as to the manner, etc. That is the constitutional prerogative of those functionaries who are called. Now, they will also ask you a question later on, who are the functionaries? So, functionaries have been referred to the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister, as you can see. This question is already answered here.
As it is from our past discussions, and otherwise you would remember, who is it that decides who will be a minister in the union government? The Prime Minister. So the President appoints ministers on the advice of the PM. In the state, the governor appoints ministers on the advice of the CM. So in this case, for the question we are just discussing, what is the role of the court?
So you look at this line, but it is the prophetic duty of this court. Now they're telling you about the role of the court, right? To remind the key duty holders about their role in working the constitution. And hence I am of the view that the PM and the CM of the state, who themselves have taken oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India and to discharge. Now this is well connected to the statement that we just saw, to avoid people who have been, against whom charges have been framed. So this is derived from here, the prophetic duty. And if you look at option B, specifically talks about prophetic duty to remind key functionaries. Now I told you that there was a question later on. What is here? The question is the next one. Who are the functionaries the passage is talking about? Now we definitely know. So there might be some confusion, I guess, in this question. You might be confused between B and C also, that whether it is PM along with Council of Ministers or CM along with Council of Ministers. But for this confusion, also there is a clarity, there is a hint given in the passage. Yes, hence I am of the firm view that the PM and the CM of the state, who themselves have taken oath and to discharge their duties faithfully. So you look at the sentence, it is focusing on the duties of the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister, right? So iska sahi answer hoga, that should be D. D for Delhi is the right answer for question number 83, sorry. 83. Yes. These are the key functionaries.
Okay, so just in case you've missed it, we have 81. The answer will be
A.
A for apple. Okay. 82.
We have B.
The answer will be B for Bombay or Bangalore.
Yeah.
Okay. And 83.
We have D.
The answer will be D for donkey. And
now having solved the above questions, you can solve this question without even looking at the passage, right? What is the question? Who, according to the above passage, shall not be appointed as a minister? We just saw the caution that the court has issued is that people against whom charges involving moral turpitude have been framed in a court of law. This is important, directly derivable, and also a known fact. Again, right. Focus on that fact that charges have been framed, not just charges have been initiated, right?
Right. What sir has flagged is key, right? So why is A wrong? A says half the answer.
Exactly.
But does not refer to moral turpitude.
Exactly.
It is not any charges.
Exactly.
Maybe you have simply been charged with defamation.
Right.
This is not enough to disqualify
so there
you.
Could be a confusion between A and B. And as we have seen in mocks, and we have solved doubts also, that if there is an option which is correct, it's not incorrect, right? But it's incomplete. Correct. Option A is incomplete. I would say it's not incorrect. But option B is giving you proper logic, proper explanation, right? Which makes it a complete sentence and hence becomes a better answer.
Yes. We've seen this in last year's paper as well, where punishments were provided,
right?
And also, where only half the punishment was given, it was treated as the wrong answer.
Right.
In fact, none of the above was preferred to even an incomplete answer.
Absolutely correct.
Here, there is an incomplete answer and a complete answer.
Right.
Therefore, B will be right.
And
C.
So this could also have created confusion. That's why I'm explaining that what is the difference between framing the charges and proving. See, the caution is not for proving the charges. Proving the charges comes at a later stage when the case is finally being disposed of, right? After producing evidence and everything else. But that is not what the caution says. And also against when case is pending, it's very generic. It's although option B is a part of D, undoubtedly, but B is definitely more specific, directly lifted from the passage and placed here.
Absolutely. So I think that clarifies this particular passage very, very clearly. Okay. The full answer key will also be released on our website, so you can access it if you want it sort of in one document. Okay. Now, this absolutely clear, direct, expected passage.
A lot of times.
God only knows how many times sir has covered it. I have covered it.
Yeah, it has been taught in the classes multiple times. It has been done in the current legal affairs sessions.
Vidhi Abhyas.
Clat possible, that is Vidhi Abhyas, yes. And it was also seen in mocks.
Mocks, right? We gave it in our guest paper 1 as well.
Right. And I remember somebody had asked me, sir, what are the important topics for legal? Then particularly in those 10 or 15 topics also, I had mentioned Article 200.
In fact, interestingly, even the sample paper released by Clat Consortium had this particular
I think this was guessed by everybody.
Absolutely.
This was not unforeseeable.
Absolutely. Very, very foreseen, covered in GK as well.
But yeah, one thing I would like to add here, that for students who are watching us, particularly students from Clat Possible, the legal that we have seen so far, you can say, and I can say it with absolute conviction, that all the topics were either taught in the classes or were given in the mocks or practice sheets. I can say that is for sure. I can say that with conviction, and I'm sure all Clat Possible students will acknowledge that, either taught or seen in the passages.
All right. So let's now come to these questions. So question 1 says the Legislative Assembly of a state passes a controversial bill, sends it to the governor for assent. The governor, strongly disagreeing with the provisions, decides neither to give assent nor return the bill.
That is the problem.
Hoping it will be forgotten over time.
So he's sitting on the bill, basically.
Right. And we have seen in the passage,
the first 3 lines of the passage,
that pocket veto is not allowed at all.
The recent Supreme Court judgment in so and so affirmed that a governor cannot exercise or pocket veto on bills, holding that if assent is withheld, the bill must be returned. So clearly gives you the answer, option B, straight away, straightforward.
So very, very straightforward question here. The option which is correct will be option
B.
The governor's inaction, meaning the act of sitting on it, is unconstitutional, as the Supreme Court has explicitly rejected the power to an absolute veto. So B for Bombay.
There is no need to even look at the passage once again while marking the answer. It is so clear.
Right? In fact, at least 4 out of these 6 questions basically centered on this very point.
Okay. This one derivation. Correct.
Now, let's see.
So yeah, if you look at this question, this is 86, question number 86. So for us, a change in the state assembly then reenacts. Now it's talking about reenactment of a bill which has been sent back by the governor for reconsideration, right? So it has come back to him. Reenactment. Now, do we have anything with respect to reenactment in the passage? Yes, absolutely. We have a very clear statement, provision of law in the passage. If the state assembly reenacts a bill after it has been returned by the governor has no choice but to give assent. So no discretion, no choice, no option. You are bound to accept it.
He cannot send it back again either.
Yes.
As per this judgment.
So that is given in option A directly, again, without any dispute. Option
and obviously right, we have already seen that pocket veto is not possible. It is not possible on the second turn also.
Right.
So that is very, very clear cut. Therefore, the best option here will be on question 86.
Option A.
Will be option A.
Yeah.
It exactly uses the word no choice.
Exactly.
No choice but to give assent to the reenacted bill, as the Supreme Court has ruled that the governor cannot withhold assent for a second time.
Yeah.
Here B is wrong because it says can again. C, can refer the bill, not found in the passage, and as per the actual case also it is not allowed, and they can dissolve the state, totally irrelevant outside the passage.
So the whole passage, there is a main theme of the passage, which is what can the governor do and not do. If you understood that principle of law, you would have done all questions correct. Let's look at the next one.
So it says, after the Supreme Court's judgment, a state governor holds a bill.
For
holds meaning sits on it, right? Doesn't do anything. Holds a bill for 8 months without taking any action. The state government believes that this delay is unconstitutional.
Now you already know the answer. You already saw the passage in the very first 3 lines of the passage. You saw that what the Supreme Court has said against this practice of the governor. We already know the answer, but we have to pick an option that aligns with the passage, right?
So based on the precedent, what recourse means what is the option available?
If you
what is the option available to the state?
So we go to the passage for that. Yeah.
So if we see the passage very clearly tells us what is the option before the governor.
So first read from here. Yeah, the judgment expanded the scope of judicial review by setting timelines for the governors. It is important that the timelines were set for the governors. Timelines in the sense that you can't sit on it for indefinite period, right? So yeah, from there we get a hint. Also,
it clearly is provided here, allowing state governments
to
approach courts
now
if these timelines are breached.
So that is precisely mentioned in option D. Again, there is no scope of confusion. There was no need to get confused. Option D, sorry, this is question number, we go to 87. Yeah, the state government can approach the courts. We just saw that sentence, that provision of law becomes a very simple question, right? You don't even need to look at the passage again and again. If you understood this principle of law, you would have answered the questions directly. You would have saved so much time also.
Okay, let's now come to the next. It says, in a situation mirroring or similar to the Tamil Nadu case, the bench is reviewing several instances where a particular governor has indefinitely delayed, indefinitely meaning for an unknown very long period of time, delayed assent on multiple bills despite the obligation. If the Supreme Court decides to follow the precedent, what would be the likely outcome?
Such a simple question. Such a simple question. They are not even asking that, you have to find out some reasoning or something. The precedent has to be followed. What was given in this judgment? So again, yes, deemed assent. If the governor has said nothing for indefinite period, after a lapse of certain time period, it would be considered to be consented by the governor. Also,
if ordered by the court.
Yeah, and also because there is a mention of judicial review, that the judgment expanded the scope of judicial review. वो अभी हम लोगों ने ऊपर वाले क्वेश्चन में किया ही था. So by that logic, you can come directly to option C, question number 88.
Yes. Now let me clarify one thing. I know there is a big doubt looming. A lot of you will want to challenge this because the Supreme Court did a review, right? Why? Because the president had made a reference under advisory jurisdiction under Article 143, and just 2 weeks before your exam, this reference was answered by the court saying that the court does not have the power to give deemed assent. However, as we have said time and again, the passage says nothing about it. Exactly. The passage is the law, the passage is God. Right. Of course, this was not true in the first 2 passages where legal knowledge was asked. But in this passage, we are dealing with the original judgment, and that is what you should follow. Yeah. So in this judgment, what did the court do? Used its powers to give deemed assent.
Directly mentioned in option C, no need to get confused again.
Okay. So in question 88, C, the Supreme Court would deem assent on pending bills, blah, 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 blah.
In the next question, interestingly, you don't even need to look at the question also. You look at the options, and the only option which seems probably right option is option D. That is, the government's declaration is unconstitutional because the Supreme Court explicitly rejected the governor's power to an absolute or pocket veto. Very clearly given in the passage, also seen in the above questions. And if you want to read the facts are again very simple, very similar to the previous facts. That is, the governor intends to use the discretion to permanently halt. So, ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. This is impossible. You know it. Indefinite delay, Supreme Court has already said, is not possible, right? So, yeah, very simple question, I would say.
Okay. So 89. So governor had said that he will use discretion to permanently halt legislation he deems inappropriate simply by not acting, meaning sitting on it. So as sir said, the answer for this will clearly be option
D.
Because see what the others say. Option A says consistent, meaning correct. That makes it wrong. Valid, wrong. Partly valid, wrong. Unconstitutional, this is correct.
Right.
Okay, I hope this is absolutely clear.
Now the next question is an interesting.
Now this one is slightly tricky. I would not say this question is wrong, but certainly challengeable.
Very.
I would say.
Yeah.
We are not willing to yet say it is just.
So this is one such question that I talk about in the classes, and I call it a disputed question.
Very disputed.
Right, a question which can have multiple, answers,
but
or maybe.
But also a type of question the consortium will not cancel.
Yes.
Because
it is defendable. It is defendable in the favor of the right answer. Yes.
Right, and if you go to court, courts are clear. If two things are possible, then court will defer to the consortium and the paper setter.
Yes.
If it is obviously wrong, only then the court changes the answer.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
Okay, this is the legal position. There is no doubt about it. So it asks, what are the three primary courses of action for whom, for a governor, when a bill is enacted by the state assembly, sent to him, her, for his, her assent? Which option correctly lists the three courses? Now, without first saying the answer, let's go option by option.
Let's eliminate.
Let's eliminate, because here none of the options are very directly correct. Okay, let's come to option A. So it says give assent. This is obviously an option. 2 says veto or absolute.
Now this is the problem, right? We just saw in the passage that this power, this is the power that has been criticized by the Supreme Court and rejected, in fact, as a power.
Right. Further, the passage and your knowledge tell you governor does not have an option to send anything to the Supreme.
Exactly.
So option A is eliminated. Let's come to option B. Give assent, reasonable.
That is fine.
2 says withhold assent.
Okay.
Allowing the bill to fail unless the proviso is followed. This is again problematic because the court has made it clear there is nothing called simply withholding assent.
Right. Allowing it to fail.
That would also be absolute veto.
Right.
Court has made it clear that if you are withholding assent, you meaning the governor, if you are withholding assent, you must simultaneously send it back to the legislature for reconsideration.
The fact that allowing the bill to fail refers to sitting on the bill. Right?
Allowing the bill to fail is either sitting on it or an absolute no, which also is not possible.
Right.
Governor does not have that power.
Correct.
So this option is also eliminated.
So 2 options are eliminated. Now things have become easier for us.
Okay. C says give assent. This is of course fine. Withhold assent. Okay,
fine.
With the option to return for reconsideration.
This is correct.
This is correct. Now there is one slightly different way to interpret this second part, which is that it is only an option.
Right.
Whereas the judgment says if you withhold, you have to return.
Right.
But if we interpret it as withhold assent while exercising the option to return, this sounds right.
So this is like we know that when we are given 4 options and none of the options is perfect, right? None of the options is legally perfect or indicates legally correct position, then we have to choose an option which is least incorrect, I would say, which is at least showing some legal position which is correct and to some extent, right? So for that reason, C seems to be a better choice.
Okay, reserve for consideration of the president. So this option is like a maybe. D, give assent is fine. Return for reconsideration, slightly incomplete, but still okay. It should say withhold assent. Refer to the union government is not an option at all.
Not an option at all.
Right? Refer to the president is different from referring to union government.
So I think this question is based on a mix of the passage and
knowledge.
Some level of awareness.
Little bit of
knowledge as well.
Okay, so we would suggest that C is the correct answer for question 9.
But yes, I think this question is going to create difference.
Yes. I am pretty sure. See, the answer key will come.
Yeah.
If you want, you can challenge it.
A lot of people have done this wrong, would have done this wrong.
But my prediction is, even if you challenge it, answer key is not going to change.
Not going to change, right?
Okay. Now, let's come to the next passage, which is
same-sex marriages.
Same-sex marriage.
Thoroughly discussed topic in classes when we studied constitution, when we did current legal affairs,
Family law.
even family law. Yes, thoroughly discussed topic. I think all questions were doable questions and derivable from the
Absolutely.
passage.
I remember when we did family law, when I used to teach marriage in class.
Yeah,
We would start with saying in India only heterosexual marriages are possible.
correct.
The court has rejected the idea of homosexual marriages or same-sex marriages. So we have discussed it in depth. Even the Suprio judgment was discussed in class, which provided that nobody has a fundamental right to marry.
Yes.
It is simply created by statute.
And I also remember we also had a discussion on this.
In my first week at Clat Possible, we had a discussion on this.
So and if you have understood this small legal principle, that fundamental right to marriage is not there, number one, and number two, that same-sex marriages have not been legally recognized. If you understand these two legal principles, you would have done all questions correct.
Absolutely. So there were a lot. In fact, this is a big passage and more than 6 questions. Right? Six.
Yeah, 6 questions only.
Okay.
6.
So let's come.
But all questions are except one question. So out of 6 questions, 5 questions are based on passage, and 1 question is based on awareness.
Right. The awareness question was. Let's do that first. The awareness question was.
What is the full form of LGBTQIA?
Right. The full form of LGBTQIA. So the answer to this will be option.
Intersex and asexual.
A.
That is option A.
Intersex and A. So this is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual. Okay. So A will be the answer for this. Generally straightforward. I'm sure all of you were.
But I think this question will also create a difference. Not everybody would be able to answer this.
No, but I mean, still the answer is very clear. But yes, some of you may have found this tough.
Yeah.
Right. And there may have been some confusion whether it is ally or asexual. Because in some places, A is interpreted as allies, meaning allies of LGBTQI people. In some places, it is interpreted.
So we are considering this question
asexual.
To be a bit tough question, moderately tough question. Yes.
Okay. Let's now come to the
reasoning questions.
Reasoning questions.
Question number 91. First of all, now I told you two things to remember. First is same-sex marriages are not legalized in India, and number 2, fundamental right to marriage does not exist. Right. Now attempt question number 91. So 2 individuals, Ramesh and Sameer, who identify as a same-sex couple, sought to solemnize their marriage. Based on the Supreme Court's ruling, what is the current legal standing of their ability to marry? Now, same-sex couples cannot marry in India as of date. Yeah. Okay. So let's just look at the options. One says legally recognized, one says not legally recognized, one says recognized only if ... and last says temporarily recognized. Yeah.
So D is the worst option. What is temporary recognition? Legally recognized, again wrong. Recognized only if is also wrong. B for Bombay will be the best answer.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And also directly lifted from the passage. From the very first 2 lines, same-sex marriage has no legal recognition in India as per the recent Supreme Court's judgment, where it was decided that this is an issue for the Parliament to address.
So no means we cannot say temporary recognition, we cannot say recognition. Yeah. We have to mark the answer which says no legal.
Also, we know that Supreme Court's the main job that the Supreme Court has to perform is to interpret the law or to examine the validity of a certain law, right? It cannot give legal recognition to something which comes within the jurisdiction of the Parliament otherwise. So whether a certain activity has to be legalized or penalized, that is within the domain of the legislature, not within the domain of the Supreme Court, right? And so even applying that understanding also, you could have directly come to this option B for Bombay. Question number 92. Now, an advocate is arguing that the Supreme Court should directly legislate I just told you, we just know this from the passage also, that Supreme Court does not have this power to make a law on a certain issue, right? At the most, it can only make recommendations or suggestions, right? So it is ultimately within the domain or the jurisdiction of the parliament, right? And the argument that is being made here is that there is a fundamental right to marry, which is incorrect, right? We just saw and also clearly mentioned in the passage that there is no fundamental right to marry as such. I'll also show you so that to you in the first 5 lines of the passage. The very first 5 lines of the passage, yeah. So there it was held that there is no fundamental right to marry, clearly derivable from passage, and therefore the answer is B for Bombay. Very simple question, I would say, and would have been answered with simple understanding. Now looking at question number 93. So here what is happening is there is a certain advocacy group that aims to achieve legal recognition for same-sex marriage, which is as of now not available. And to which governmental body or bodies should this group primarily direct its lobbying efforts to secure? As in, where should they go and make a request, right? To which authority, to which body they should approach and make a request for a legislation on that, if at all. So we already know that Supreme Court cannot be that place, because courts do not have the power to make laws. They can only interpret or examine the laws, right? And so by that logic, we also know that you have to either approach the central government, the parliament, or the state legislature for requesting of enactment of a certain law. Now, this is also mentioned very clearly in the passage. Let me show that to you. The court stated that the power to legislate on same-sex marriage is with the parliament and state legislature. Very clearly said that this power to legislate whether a law has to be made or not is only with parliament and state legislature. So if you look at the option C, option C is directly derivable from here and is the right answer, which says the parliament and state legislatures as the power to legislate is with them. Very simple question. I told you, right? You don't even need to look at the passage again and again. If you had understood this basic theme of the passage, the basic legal principles of the passage, all questions would have been correct. Then we have question number 94, which is the Supreme Court is not recognized, okay, but the Supreme Court's verdict did offer some acknowledgements of rights for same-sex couples. That is true. Some acknowledgements were offered. Sorry. So although the Supreme Court did not expressly recognize the right to marry between same-sex couples, but it did provide some benefits to them, and this is particularly, you will find this in the last part of the passage. So the judgment affirmed constitutional rights for LGBTQ citizens and the right to choose a partner. Right to choose a partner, right? Then the government said that, okay, we will set up a panel or something, whatever it is. Then the government said same-sex couples cannot legally marry, etc. These rights they don't have. But what they have said is that they can still cohabit privately. This is the keyword that you had to catch. The court has affirmed the right of same-sex couples to cohabit privately. This is the only acknowledgement that the Supreme Court has made, and this is given specifically in option C of question number 94. So yeah, for 94, C becomes the right answer undoubtedly, because it uses the exact term. Right. 95, question number 95. Let's see what it is. Now again, a same-sex couple, they've lived together for a decade and they want to receive legal benefits equivalent to those of married couples, such as automatic inheritance and pension rights. We just saw that the only thing which was acknowledged by the Supreme Court is that same-sex couples can live together, they can cohabit together, that is fine. That is also just an acknowledgement. But they will not be treated at par with people who are legally married. Okay, and this statement again, I can show that to you very clearly in the passage itself. The paragraph that we just saw also contains the same principle of law. So yeah, the government, same-sex couples cannot legally marry and do not receive the same legal rights such as automatic inheritance, pension, etc. Very, very clearly said that the marriage between same-sex couples is not treated at par with a marriage which is normally understood and solemnized and legalized in India. So based on this logic, B for Bombay or Bangalore will be the right answer. Question number 95, B is the right answer, which says that they cannot legally marry and cannot be automatically be entitled to specific legal rights. Very, very simple questions. All that you had to do was to read the passage once with utmost care and caution, and you would have done all questions absolutely right. Now, the last question has already been explained. This one we have already done based on extra knowledge, additional knowledge. So, yeah, that is it for now. Overall, I would say that the legal section was easy to moderate. I would say with a few elements of difficulty, that also with respect to the questions which are based on legal knowledge or prior awareness, I would say. In particular, I do not find any question difficult which is based on passage or is derivable, right? So there your accuracy must be almost 100%. If in case you did make a mistake, I am leaving that scope. I'm keeping it open. You might have made some mistakes, but uh, otherwise, this was a very good paper, and I think I genuinely believe that 28 out of 30 would be a very good attempt, because there are two questions which would be confusing, with respect to the options or your prior understanding or knowledge. So I think 28 out of 30 would be a very good attempt, and out of that, a very good accuracy would be 25 for the top colleges. Of course, it can be more than 25 also, but I think 25 you should have, for anybody targeting top law schools, 25 in legal seems to be a good ideal score. And for any NLU, I would say for making it to the cutoff, right, should be around 20 to 21 or more than 21, I would say. So yeah, approximately 21 is the score that should be required to make it to the cutoff, and 25 is the score that would be required to make it to the top colleges in legal. This is what we analyze. This is what is based on our observation, the way we solve the paper, and the way we presume that students must have solved it. All right, so that is it from my side. For if you have any question, you can post it on the in the comment box, and we will be happy to assist you later on. Thank you so much for watching me live for this session. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best for your results. Thank you.
So let's start off with the English section analysis, the detailed analysis of the English section. In this code, if you see the code, sorry, let me show you the code first. This is the code which we are using in our answer key and our analysis. This code, in this code, English questions were from 97 to 120. In this code, English questions were from 97 to 120. And before I begin the section, just some observation which I gave you in the overall analysis also, but I would like to take it up at this point as well. The section was slightly unusual in the sense that a lot of phrases and words were asked in the section, but at the same time, there was no way to identify their answer from the passage. So in the overall analysis, when I maintain that a general sense of awareness and a general sense of knowledge prevailed in this paper, which for years has been reading based, right? So in every section, in every passage, I'm going to show you the questions where you needed to sort of know or understand, you know, the usage as such, where there was no way to know the meaning from the passage, but of course there was a way to eliminate the other options and try to put the meaning into the passage and get the answer. So rather than deductive, this section was more inductive. So the way to go about some of those questions was eliminating the not so correct answers from the options, and then the meaning that left, you were like, yeah, this fits in here. So it wasn't as if you were deducing the meaning from the passage, more so it was inducing the meaning onto the passage. So this was the section that was the general sense that you got from the section. So we are doing questions 97 to 120 English in this code. I repeat, in this code. The answer key also has this question paper, which we have uploaded on our website. All the answers are there and you go for this code. All right. So the first passage in this code was the non-cooperation movement. This has been taken from India's Struggle for Independence by Bankim Chand. So when the GK section comes in, then Ananya and the GK mentors Satyam will tell you that this passage has been anyways done as a GK passage also. So familiarity with the passage for all of you should be definitely there. Easy to read passage and questions that are given pretty much directly in the passage. So if you go over the questions 97 and 98, it is evident from the passage that definitely the idea of Swaraj was not futile. The idea of Swaraj was not futile because Swaraj was promised at the end of the non-cooperation movement. Then at the same time, the passage was not able to tell us whether it was a complete success. We are using the same approach that we use in all our mock analysis. We look at the word and we put a little cross saying, no, this is not evident from the passage. Of course, the passage shows the non-cooperation movement as essential, as a celebratory thing to show Indian unity. However, was it a complete success? No, in fact, later on, one gets to realize that, you know, it was quite unfortunate that the movement did not continue, or the semblance of the movement was not seen years later in the communal country. Then the non-cooperation movement gained the sympathy of majority of the Indians. This is given in the third paragraph, where the next question follows, the poor dumb millions. So this is in the third paragraph, which leads to the next question, 98. And again, they represented minority, but microscopic, no. A good lot of the minorities were also a part of the movement. So the correct answer is C. The poor dumb millions. Now, this is the question I was referring to you. So there was no way of knowing what kind of poor dumb millions is it. One could only know that it is a dig or a pot shot on the British who called us poor and dumb. So from the options, we know that it could be definitely represents impoverished. This is, of course, not the meaning of dumb we want. So this is rather a, a very casual option. And vulnerable, okay, maybe because they are dumb, but poor represents impoverished and dumb represents uneducated, which the British thought we were. So D seems like a more holistic answer. So, this is the sense of questions where you eliminate these and then you're like, yeah, this is what it could refer to. So it's more like it could refer to it. It was no way of finding out from the passage as a deduced answer, right? So that's the trend you see in most of the questions, which we are going to show you as we move forward. Then coming to questions 99 to 101. Which statement is true? So if you look at that, the Swaraj movement happened before. Definitely false. The non-cooperation movement failed due to sudden withdrawal. Can't say. There was a fine show of communal unity. Last paragraph. Last paragraph clearly talks about it. The fine show of communal unity. And while we are talking about the poor dumb millions, that's just a way of taking a dig at the Indians. It wasn't as if the rich and educated were not a part of it. In fact, all the college students from the first paragraph we know were a part of it. So the correct answer is C. The main idea of the passage is that did not give impetus to future movement, stated, while it showed power of minority, power of unity, one could not see it later on, it sort of died down. It is stated, but it's negative and most of the passage speaks highly. So let's look for a more positive central theme. The movement made the Indians realize their potential. So this is more in sync with what is given. So that's positive. In fact, everyone was able to see how millions could unite. And not stated, option C, most positive feature was that it was repeated. In fact, opposite, it was not repeated. So the correct answer over here is B. The word communalism in the passage refers to, again, you had to know it. As I said, a general sense of knowledge was visible in this paper. Definitely religious identity. So you needed to know this meaning, you needed to know the direct implication of poor and dumb. So you needed to have a general sense of awareness that yes, Britishers would call us that. So these are your answers for the first passage, and we move to the Yuval Noah Harari passage. This is a passage that has even featured in our mocks. So I will be telling you exactly what mocks we have given it in. So 102, which of the following can be inferred as the most significant characteristic of prehistoric humans? So this is given again right in the first paragraph, last line. First para, last line. They were not at all conscious. In fact, they were incognizant. We are going to do that. There was no social organization or clear hierarchy. They didn't even know what greatness we are going to achieve, right? Their evolutionary divergence was marked by warfare, can't say at this stage. In fact, they were incognizant, which means they were pretty much like the apes and the gorillas, as mentioned in the first paragraph, last line. So that is option D. Acha. In the context of the passage, the term incognizant means, again, you had to know it. knowledge based, right? So as I said, vocabulary most of the time in the papers is never context based, it is mostly knowledge based. So this is what we see here. So incognizant, they did not lack any intelligence, they were unaware. Incognizant means unaware, without knowledge. Later on, so combine para 1 and para 2. In para 1, we say they are incognizant, and in para 2, it says they did not know that we are going to snap the molecule, do AI and do research. So the answer would be option B, unaware of their future potential. Social interaction, irrelevant. Disinterested, irrelevant, right? Now this is a very generic option, lacking intelligence. Maybe, but incognizant basically means unaware. Exact word is unaware, right? What best explains why humans did not initially stand out among other organisms? So look at these questions. Humans did not stand out. So they had fewer offsprings? No. Their behaviors were not unique. They were like the apes and gorillas. Again, first para, same question repetition. They did not evolve. No, they lacked the genetic capacity. One can't say. And one can't say even this. So answer will be option B. Right? So that was 104, 105 and 106 now. According to the passage, what determines whether two animals belong to the same species? So in the passage, the same species is the fact that this is 105. They give the example of the horse and the donkey versus the dogs, right? So horse and donkey are able to mate when pushed to, but they do not give a potent offspring. So it is the ability to produce the a potent offspring, not like the mules. So physical shape and size is out. This has been given as an example to the horse and donkey. They share an evolutionary ancestor, but still they cannot go along together. So this is out in spite of the fact that there is an ancestor, but once they reproduce, their offspring cannot reproduce. So that's not a good combination. How will mules further grow then, right? So this has been shown as a distinguishing feature. 106, the passage explains the concept of species classification by. So the passage highlights the differences between horse and donkey and bulldog and spaniel. Yes, but not all four of them as one. The passage through these examples takes us to the DNA pool. So the DNA pool they share will be our answer, which is option B. So the passage uses these examples, but option A sounds like it is highlighting the behavioral differences between all four of them together. No, it takes two and shows and compares. They may look different, but they are they have a viable child, but horse and donkey look alike, but they don't. So the correct answer will be option B. And then we come to the next passage, which is on Fukuyama's theory of the political order. This passage is there in our RC book. Of course, we have given a longish passage and a tougher one. However, the passage over here has only got under 300 words. And we will take 107 and 108 as our first questions from this passage. So in Francis Fukuyama's passage, they talk about the political order. From the political order, Once, you know, we've got a liberal democracy established, it brings us to the social benefits of that order, right? And then the decline of the liberal democracy in para 3. So 3 distinct paragraphs: political, social, and then the decline. Which of the following is most critical in understanding Freedom House's evaluation process? So the second line of para 1, second line of first para brings us to the quantitative measures. So the methodology used, we have not described the exact methodology, but the fact that it quantifies and is able to measure you know, the freedoms and how things work in different political systems. So the word quantify or quantifiable methods is what our answer will be, right? Voter turnout is not mentioned. In fact, voters have been mentioned as people, if they're not happy, they'll get up and go. So that question is also asked, right? C and D are completely irrelevant. The word quantifies gets us this answer. And the next question, vote with their feet. Again, the inductive quality question, knowledge based. Now you had to know what this means. So again, a knowledge based phrase, something that you can't really locate in the passages to deduce the answer. So how do you do it? You look at the option, you see how it best fits, and you induce the meaning into the passage. You take the meaning, put it in the passage, and say, yeah, makes sense, right? So engaging in electoral process, yes, that is voting, but not voting with feet. That is voting. Now, public protest can't say, because it says that travel is cheap, people are connected, so it makes sense, yes, migration. So voting with feet means if you are not happy, you migrate. Go to another country, which is the easier thing. Induced answer. Let's look at the last one. The third wave of democratization refers to. Now again, this has been just used in the passage. This has been used as, you know, Huntington's third wave. We really do not know, but again, an induced answer. We do not know from the passage what this third wave is. We just know that this democratic process, which is market-oriented democracies, you know, where transformation is the key, they are also coinciding with Samuel Huntington's third wave of democratization. So now we can again just induce an answer in this again. So let's, again, that knowledge-based category where we induce the answer, definitely it does not fit into with A. This is given clearly, market-oriented democracies. So now that becomes our answer. We do not know about this, whether there was authoritarianism earlier to the democratization process. And civil rights, again, is something we can't talk about at this stage over here. So this will be option B. Unless it's completely GK based, but from the passage it will be B. 110 and 111. Which of the following was not mentioned as a factor? This is a simple question where it will be C. And fourth consecutive year was 2009. So let's see, 2009, 2008, 2007. So fourth consecutive year takes us to 2006. So these are our answers for 110 and 111. Then we come to the Tagore passage, the hungry stones, a small interaction on the train, simple, nice passage. So of the two figures of speech question, the first one is in this passage only. Let's look at 112 before we go to the figure of speech question. Unusual man. Now, unusual man would be why? Because they first thought from the dress that that man was something different, but when he started talking, it was different. So direct answer, option A, which I think everyone should have got. So the literary device questions, as asked here. all things, one might think the disposer of all things might get his counsel. So exaggeration, which takes us to hyperbole. It's not, the person is not being ironical. The person is just exaggerating the other guy's knowledge. Of course, it's too much knowledge, but this is definite exaggeration. Again, knowledge-based theosophist. So theosophist is a person who studies religion and spirituality. So Theosophical Society, Annie Besant, if you remember. So the best word here is mystic, not skeptic. That's sort of opposite, or agnostic and skeptic would be same. Materialist does not fit because it fits with spirituality and mysticism. Again, word-based question, boorish. We have done it in our vocabulary classes, in our sheets. Boorish means a person who is awkward, doesn't know mannerisms, lack of mannerisms. So the rest of the answers are opposite, right? Rest of these are opposite. The narrative suspicion that the man was quietly pleased suggests definitely not humble or embarrassed. Quietly pleased means very happy about the fact that he was making an impression. So, which is option D. Not indifferent because he was pleased. So that takes you to option D. And the last 4 questions on Animal Farm. Animal Farm probably has featured in our mocks more than twice. So again, a text you would be familiar with. So what is the tone of the passage? It's not neutral. The person is bitter, critical, resentful. And I know if you notice a trend in these answers, at least I know from the Delhi CP Center, all of you would make fun that I make the correct answer long and more elaborate than the others. So it's funny, when I was solving this paper, that suddenly it was like, it was something that you guys noticed in some of the question papers that I made, that my answers are long in the club batch also, and of course in the class, that my answers options are longer than others, the other wrong answers. So again, here if you notice, the correct answer is reading differently and is longer than the others. So it's quite funny. Maybe you could have just done that with some of the questions. 117 is definitely there. So it's not light-hearted. It's the most intense book. You all know, we have discussed this book, right? Of course, animals contrasted with humans. This is symbolic, a lot of symbolism. Symbolism through creatures and trying to make a point, trying to tell us something is definitely allegory, right? It's probably sounding comic, but it is dark humor, right? Irony, metaphor for animal biology? No, not for animal biology. It's symbolic, and it's trying to make a point on human materialism, cruelty, and that would be option A. Now again, knacker. There is no way you could have known this meaning from the passage. You could have guessed it, yes, but you needed to be sure about it, that they are talking about killing, they are talking about putting the dogs with stones into the riverbed. So definitely a person, and again, if you notice, the answer is longer and better worded and more elaborate than the others. So it's only a coincidence, but it's a funny coincidence because this is something that you noticed in our classes. The last word, slaughter, drowning, knacker, primarily. So again, if 119 you were confused, this question should have given you the hint to do this question. I always say that a future question can give you a hint for a previous question. So 120 could give you a hint for 119, but all these words are showing imagery or symbolism for the brutality that humans execute on animals, right? So that would be option B, a simple answer going in tone with the passage. So overall, you have seen that I have given you a higher cutoff for English because options were such that you could have marked the right answer. Overall, I have even the cutoff for any law school, I'm looking at 18 plus, right? And because the options were such, even though some of the meanings could not be deduced, the options were such you could find out in sync with the passage, okay, this fits in best. So more of inductive meaning was here rather than deductive meaning, but something that options would have helped you do, in terms of reading. Had the options been closed, we could have still said, okay, it's difficult because you needed to know this. But the options were simple, barring 2 or 3 questions with a little bit of, hazy answering in them. Most of it was easily doable, easy to reach the right option. So as we mentioned in the overall analysis, the passages were really short. It could be to allow for maximum inclusivity of people who have not had an English medium education. And yet again, I feel the way to be inclusive is not to make things super easy, because then you miss out on the people who are really suited for that college, right? But you need to bring in more massive changes if you really want to be inclusive. So if this is a paper which is trying to be inclusive by just dumbing down the whole process that was designed to get in better students into college, then I'm afraid it's not the way to go. But having said that, if you have done this paper well, if you have not made blunders, you stand a great chance to get into a good law school. And remember, anyone who is prepared, most of the time, with their preparedness, they are able to secure the right kind of marks. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much. And we are going to move into GK at this stage.
All right. So if you look at the GK section, I think the section was quite doable, easy, and the good part is that GK section also had an impact on the legal section as well, because there were two particular sets where GK was asked. So there was one set on preamble and one on the recent governor case in Tamil Nadu. So,
and there was one question on the GST new tax slabs.
and yes, GST tax slab, and even in English. So we got this feedback that history wasn't there, but there was non-cooperation movement
In
in the English section. So there was a lot of GK in this paper, and being good with GK would have definitely helped you. Looking at this particular section, if you see the events that have happened throughout the year was covered. One is definitely the SCO, and even they had a question on SAR, right? Then they had a question on the Indus Water Treaty, and why did this happen? Because of the Operation Sindoor, Pahalgam attack, and all that. So the Indus Water Treaty related questions were there. Then Trump has been in news throughout the year. Recently, Trump has got himself the FIFA Peace Prize.
Yes.
So Trump has been in news, and we have spoken about the taxes, the reciprocal taxes, and there was a very simple question based on it. And all that he's doing is to make America great again, and that's why there was a question on MAGA, right? And a huge impact with H-1B visa, and it had huge repercussions on the Indians, who are working there and who want to work there. So H-1B visa is again a very prominent thing this year, and they have covered that. So besides this, we had chess, because recently the Viswanathan Anand World Cup happened in Goa, and there were questions around it. So FIDE was very much in news, and now since we have 91 grandmasters in India, and Divya Deshmukh winning the World Cup in the classic chess, and Humpy winning the blitz and the rapid chess. The chess was very important. In fact, last year, we won the chess Olympiad in the open as well as in the women's category, the 45th chess Olympiad that was held in Hungary. So chess becomes a very, very dominant topic for this year. Yes, there was one topic which I really did not expect that it would be asked. I mean, there was nothing much to ask, but yes, they asked questions, and that was the Ahmedabad flight crash. So that was very much in news. So the Dreamliner crash that happened, and questions that were based on it, right? So overall, I feel that the GK section was easy, and we're also going to show you places where we have covered almost 90% of the questions that came in today's paper through our classes, through our mocks. So I mean, these things where I mean, we have gone into a lot of depth. So we are feeling a little bad, because we wanted the paper to be a little tougher.
Yes.
Because that's how we have prepared our students here. But anyways, I mean, we are going to show you where we have covered it. In fact, a lot of questions came from the last lab, and which we covered
from the top 25 topics that
from
we
the
just
top
covered.
25 topics that we covered day before yesterday,
Just 2
three
days before,
days
yes.
ago. And
so the 4 passages, the major ones, the 4 passages were directly from our top 25. Just one passage that was actually a pretty surprising element this time in the exam, which was on the Indian airline, the crash of that particular Boeing. That was a much non-anticipated question, but then there were ample of surprising elements in this paper this time. You did not get any passage-based GK, which a lot of you had asked us also to give in the mocks, to give you questions which are passage based, but naturally they have gone back to their 2-year back trend, where they do not give you answers in the passage. There was only 1 or 2 questions which were passage based.
So that was a welcome change. There was just one question here which you could have, the question on SEO, which was from the passage, but otherwise last year you see there were 12 questions directly from the passage. So somebody who has not done GK and does RC in GK would have got 12 questions. So that way this paper was pretty good, because you don't have that advantage. You should know basic GK, and you could have done well, not just in this section, but also in the legal reasoning section. So quickly, we'll take you across the paper and what our answers are. And so coming to the first one, so I mean, the question is very obvious here. When the tariffs were introduced and Trump imposed a 25% tariff, now a lot of people have made mistake in this because later, because of the our buying petrol from Russia, the oil from Russia, there was additional tax for 25%. So a lot of students have marked 50%, which is wrong. The answer here would be, the answer is clearly asked us initially. So that is 25%, right? The second one is, I mean, 25% here, not this one. So I think it's gone up. That's the reason. So 25% is here. The second question is a direct. I mean, the reason why it would have been 50% is because of India's defense and energy ties with
buying oil from Russia. Now, these two questions, if you see, so these two questions are directly from our mocks. I've asked this in the guest paper also, and we've asked this in one or two previous mocks also. I'll show you the comparison, but these two questions are directly from the mock. Then coming to the next one, which is on Chabahar Port. Now, this question particularly, Sir has taken up multiple times with you all. He has been continuously mentioning the reasons behind developing of the Chabahar port, and then I think we've taken it up in October current affair also, that a 6-month waiver has been given to India on development of Chabahar port. All right.
So international north-south economic corridor that's been developed, which goes from the Jawahar port and it goes to Chabahar port. So in Chabahar port, we have got Shahid Behesti terminal, and then from there it goes to the Central Asian country. So what is the significance of Chabahar port and what is the reason? The reason Chabahar port is so critical for India is A, it gives access to Central Asia, and also when the crisis happened in Afghanistan, right? We launched this Operation Devi Shakti. So there was no access to Afghanistan because of our relations with Pakistan. That's the reason we needed a counter strategy. So here the question is very clear, acts as a counterbalance to the Gwadar port. And Gwadar port mein was CPEC wali line hai, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which finally culminates at the Gwadar port. So in a way, it gives access to China to the Arabian Sea. So the answer here is very clear. It's a Gwadar port here, right? So if you look at the Shahid Behesti terminal at Chabahar port, this is the second port of Iran after, their main port is the Bandar Abbas port, right? And it is built by Indian Ports Global Limited. H1B visa?
H1B visa, again, 1 or 2 questions we've given in the mock also. And this particular question was an obvious one since they've asked Trump, so I had given you this entire timeline of everything that could possibly be asked in India-US relations just 2 days back in the top 25. So what is the primary purpose of the H1B visa? So this particular visa is specifically for non-immigrants. So non-immigrants was your keyword here, and then naturally this entire option becomes correct. All right. So H1B visas has been asked specifically because India is the highest recipient of this particular visa. Around 71% of Indians they take up the H1B visa. And why is it undertaken? So that US based companies they can hire labor who are non-US citizens.
Want to explain why it is not employment visa?
It is not an employment visa only. Okay, it is an employment visa, but it has an annual cap of 85,000, and out of these 85,000, 65,000 visa are issued for employment only, job oriented, but 20,000 are issued for your respective higher educational courses. Okay, all right. Then this a very simple laddu question which everybody must get correct. So the acronym MAGA, I have given this in multiple mocks. I'll show you today. What is it abbreviated for? It is Make America Great Again. All right. So to make America great again, only all the above things ensue. All right. Okay. Then coming to the next question, which was on FIDE. Now, why was FIDE important this year? Because we obviously had D. Gukesh, we had Divya Deshmukh, and then also this year we had the FIDE trophy renamed as Vishwanath Anand. And why is Vishwanath Anand important? Because why has this been named as Vishwanath Anand? Because he was the first FIDE World Cup winner from India, and also because this time presently it is being held in Goa. All
Yeah.
right.
So if you look at chess, the origin of chess was during the Gupta period, right? This was in the 6th century, and from here it went to Persia, and then and it was called as Chaturanga, so 4 corners,
Yes.
right? So the origin was India, and Chaturanga is what it started off with, and it was during the Gupta period. So they could have asked a better question here, which period it started or what was it called originally, but this was a very, very basic question. Russia, in fact, has got the highest number of grandmasters in the world, right? Coming to the second one here, who was the first Indian to win the title of the Grand Chess Grandmaster? You see, our first Grandmaster was in 1988, Vishwanathan Anand, and he also went on to win the first Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratan Award, which is the biggest sporting honor given in the country, which is now called as Major Dhyanchand Khel Ratan Award, right? So the answer is Vishwanathan Anand here. Now India has got 91 grandmasters. He was the first grandmaster from India. India has got 4 women who have got grandmasters: Hampi, Harika, R. Vaishali, and Divya Deshmukh, right? In fact, Divya Deshmukh, when she won the World Cup, she was not a grandmaster. She was an international player, and then she went on to become the grandmaster. So, and there is a difference between a woman becoming a grandmaster and a woman grandmaster. So one of the necessary conditions is the EO points here. So 2,300 points for a woman grandmaster and 2,500 points for a grandmaster. In fact, Vishwanathan Anand has also got the highest EO points from India ever, right? And there are only 2 Indians who have crossed the 2,800 threshold. First one being Vishwanathan Anand, and the second one being Arjun Agassi. Out of total 16 people who have done this. First official chess championship. Now a lot of students have made mistake here, right? The answer to this is William Stenz. In fact, had they asked FIDE World Chess Championship, none of the options are there, right? This answer is this is 1886 when the first official World Chess Championship took place. All right, so remember that. Bobby Fischer from US, Gary Kasparov, second in terms of the EO ranking. And there was a question which came in Clat in 2021, and they've asked this again, right? Vishwanathan Anand, you all know him, 5-time world champion, right? But he wasn't the first. The answer here is William Stenz. So, I mean, you could have done this question also through elimination, because Bobby Fischer was in the 70s and 80s, right? And chess had started much before that, right? So you could have, and FIDE as a body also came up in the year, I mean, if you're talking about FIDE World Championship, it started in 40s, right? And FIDE word is not mentioned. So Gary Kasparov was 90s and 2000, Vishwanathan Anand, you all know. Bobby Fischer was just before Gary Kasparov, 70s and 80s, right? So you could have eliminated this also had you not known this particular name. So this question could have been done by elimination. And this is 1886, by the way. So this is 1970s, 80s, Bobby Fischer, US great, Gary Kasparov from Russia, Vishwanathan Anand from India, and so on and so forth. In fact, Gary Kasparov and Vishwanathan Anand for a bit also had a rivalry. So this you could have eliminated. The fight was between these 2 people, right? So if you just read a little bit about chess, the Bobby Fischer, Gary Kasparov, Anatoly Karpov, Vishwanathan Anand, these are Magnus Carlsen, these are all-time greats. I mean, FIDE as a topic and these all-time greats. So this question you could have done by elimination also. Okay. FIDE's headquarters is in Lausanne. Vishwanathan Anand is the deputy president of FIDE. So, chess by itself was an important topic for this year. I thought they would ask something from Ramsar, UNESCO, but that didn't happen. But yes, they asked chess. See, this question is a pick from 2021 Clat. There was a question, Gary Kasparov got defeated by this supercomputer, and the name is Deep Blue. In fact, this is IBM ka computer, right? And then later he defeated Deep Blue. So again, from chess, so had you done the previous year question paper, this would have been, easy for you. All right. And 11th edition, I mean, this has happened in India, and this was the 11th edition, right? So the answer has to be Goa for this, right? So it's easy. and they have not even announced next year's World Cup where it's going to take place. So this question could have been done, right? The 10th World Cup was held in Russia, by the way, and that was in 21. And this is the 11th World Cup, which is in Goa. So we have done chess multiple times in the class because, you know, we are always any grandmaster who is coming and then we are discussing FIDE in detail. Ma'am has taken up Indus Water Treaty like in detail. I mean, this particular script, it was as if, you know, we are just whatever we have done in the class, it's right there. Pahalgam attack, I mean, everybody knows this. This was a very simple question. I think almost everyone would have got it right. This was in Jammu and Kashmir, so there is no guesses about it. It was in JNK, and in fact, it is the Anantnag district. So they could have been more specific here. It was a halwa of a question. Then for 50, coming to 58th, the checkpost Atari border. Anybody who is from Chandigarh, Amritsar, Punjab knows that it's just 40 kilometers from there. The answer is near Amritsar, Punjab. Okay. Which among the following is not a SAARC nation, right? So SAARC, of course, meaning we are looking at the India and its neighbors. So we are looking at neighbors, land neighbors, as well as sea वाले neighbors. ठीक है? तो इसमें एक बहुत ही obvious सा choice दिख रहा है वो मॉरिशस ही है. ठीक है? बाकी एकदम simple है अफगानिस्तान. तो SAARC कहाँ से न्यूज में आया था? SAARC visa exemption was in news because of the Pahalgam attack. That's the reason they have asked this question, SAARC, right? Because SAARC visa exemption जो पाकिस्तान वाला था वो बैन कर दिया गया था, तो उससे SAARC आ जाता है. तो SAARC के तुम्हें सब कंट्रीज के बारे में पता होना चाहिए. ठीक है? You want to mention that shortcut for remembering all the names of SAARC?
Yeah, MSC.
You want to do that? Okay. Persona non.
All right, then there was this one simple expression that they had mentioned. It was persona non grata, meaning somebody who is very, very unwelcome. And this was, I think, in news also with respect to Mauritius, that they had picked it up. So it had been taken from there. Then coming to the Indus Water Treaty, now again, they could have asked you something much more difficult. And this also, just 2 days back, I had reiterated it again. So Indus Water Treaty signed in 1960, and I had told you multiple times that India and Pakistan can never come to terms on any XYZ topic or come to any mutual agreement. So actually, this was also brokered by an international organization, and it was the World Bank. All right. So the answer to this is
Eugene Black.
C. And then the next question, this was also a very, very easy question. While doing the Indus Water Treaty, we had specifically spoken about that Indus and 5 of its tributaries, Indus and 5 of its tributaries, the eastern rivers, the western rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, the western one, Ravi, Bias and Satluj, the eastern one. So naturally, you had Ravi, you had Jhelum, you had Chenab. Amongst the 6 rivers, Tapti is a southern Indian river. It is a peninsular river which drains into Arabian Sea. So again, C is your
Anyways,
correct
you
answer.
have the Himalayan rivers and there is a
Yes.
peninsular river. You
Yes.
could have eliminated that way. Also here, remember this treaty was signed in Karachi. I mean, there were better questions. Eugene Black was a person from World Bank who was the president then. You want to mention about Permanent Indus Commission, what it is?
Permanent Indus Commission was created under the treaty itself, and it is the first level of the 3-level graded mechanism of dispute resolution between India and Pakistan. And you have representatives from both India as well as Pakistan in the Permanent Indus Commission. Okay, then of course we have SEO, which has been done multiple times. And this particular question, this was actually the only question, I believe, in the GK section which has been given from the passage itself. All right. So this was one question which you could have deduced from the passage, that what did Civilizational Dialogue Forum intend to promote? So it was, as given in the passage, cultural understanding. All right.
So this is directly from the passage. This was RC here.
Yes. This was just one question from the passage.
So we were not required for this. Right?
Yes, we were not required for this. Okay. Then the next one, the next presidency. This question is from one of our ALET mocks, and the next presidency of SEO will be undertaken in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. Okay. So A is your correct answer. Then India strongly supported projects such as the Chabahar port. So where is this port located? They asked this question just above it in US, and then they've repeated it again. So it is in Iran. All right. Then which of the following countries is not a member of SCO? So you know that India and Pakistan joined together in 2017, and Belarus this is the latest one in 2024, Iran in 2023. Okay, and
Then it
Myanmar
was
is
Iran joined in 2023 in when the summit was in Goa, and the following year the summit was in Kazakhstan in Astana. That is last year, and that's when Belarus joined. Okay, so therefore you could have eliminated
Myanmar.
this. And anyway, SEO has been
And
a topic.
I have given this one question in the mock also, where I have given it in ascending order, as in chronological order, when which country joined. All right. Then this also just repeated 2 days back. Very clearly, I told you all that it is named Shanghai Cooperation Organization, but its headquarters is not in Shanghai. It is in Beijing. All right.
So we have done this in the class also.
Yes.
S ka B ka S, right? B का मतलब BRICS का कोई headquarters तो नहीं है, but the new development bank, not NCB, NDB. The new development bank is in Shanghai and S is in B. So SBBS. You could have done like that.
A is your correct answer.
Again, a very simple question. I mean, you should know how many members of SEO are there, and so it was a very, very simple question.
All right, then the next last one. This was also very, very easy. The summit was held in Tianjin, so naturally all of them had adopted the Tianjin declaration. Okay?
Right? They did not even ask, as in what was discussed during the meeting.
Nothing. Even if you people did not even prepare SEO, अखबार भी पढ़ा होता तो भी निकल जाता.
Nothing about Shanghai, any formation of SEO, Tianjin declaration. Next SEO meeting they have asked, right?
Kyrgyzstan. Okay, now your favorite
next
question.
Next nahi pucha, by the way, Pakistan.
Next. They only asked
next. Yeah, this surprised us. I mean, this was such a basic question. I mean, things that have happened, but so this was the Gatwick airport. It is not the Heathrow airport, which is also in London. So, this is the Gatwick airport. And the second one is Civil Aviation Minister.
This one question is from ALEC, one of the mocks that we've given. And also, Baklu sir has been very adamant with you all to remember the ministers. So he has done this multiple times. So again, it is Sri Ram Mohan.
Some students might have got this wrong because Sindhya was earlier the Minister of Civil Aviation. He's no longer there. It's Ram Mohan Naidu now. And with so much of bawal happening the last 3-4 days, you must have read who the Civil Aviation Minister is, because he has stayed mum during all this.
The Indigo ticket
crisis that has happened. Yes, so this particular trust is in
a lot of you, I think,
Bombay.
might have marked Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar and not thought of Bombay or Delhi. But the correct answer to this is Mumbai. All right. And probably because Air India is headquartered in Mumbai. That is
and Tata Group is in Bombay. So, there is a great likelihood of that being in Bombay. So that could have been one hint. And yes, the investigation, this particular guy, he eventually, went to London. He was with his cousin when the plane crashed.
He got his treatment done,
so
and
he
everything.
Wasn't an Indian. He had come here on a visit, and he is a British national of Indian origin. So this one,
I mean, you people could have deduced a little bit.
Wasn't a very difficult question. It wasn't GK question, but yes, I mean, you could have just
that the flight was headed to London, so maybe the citizen could have been a British one.
So this is the Director General of Civil Aviation. The answer to this is AAIB.
Aircraft. I forgot.
Just check that and AAIB.
Yes, everything.
Okay,
Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau.
This one was easy for me because I've traveled by the same flight. So the answer is the Dreamliner here. So mostly the international flights of Air India are the Dreamliner flights. So you could have done that way. 66 is done. Now we come to, that's it?
Yes.
Now you come to the other section.
Just one more. Yes. Quickly looking at some of the papers that we were able to collect as of now. We'll go into a deeper analysis tomorrow, most probably. So some of the questions that were directly from our mocks from the guest paper that we had just given on the 29th and the 30th of November. So this is from guest paper 1. So again, here you all can see MAGA has been mentioned. Yes. So here you all can see that MAGA has been mentioned. Then reciprocal tariffs, hiking H-1B visa fee has been clearly mentioned. Then we had a good solid question on the details of the H-1B visa program. And then you all can see under the Immigration Act of 1990, all right? And it has a total program of 65,000 plus to 20,000 for advanced degree holders. So it has been clearly mentioned. And then this was a direct question. What is the reciprocal tariff imposed on India by USA in 2025? So this is a direct question that has been asked from here. Okay. So we had this one question here. Then again, this entire Chabahar port question that India has received a 6-month waiver by US on which port. So this was also from our ALET mock 11. Then ALET mock 8, your last FIDE question, that FIDE World Tournament will be held in Goa in India after 2020, after 2002 in 2025. This was also from current affairs. Then from Clat mock 17, again, this entire question was on Trump tariffs. So this was again taken up, and we have again mentioned things like MAGA here, the the reciprocal tariff that has been imposed. So I can see that if you had given the mocks very religiously, here, this again, direct question, what is the primary purpose of imposing tariffs? Not, sorry, this one, yes. This was a direct question on the second question under the Trump tariff, that why did US impose an extra tariff on us? Because of India's purchases of Russian oil and defense equipment, all right? These were all direct questions from our mocks that we've been preparing for you all so religiously. Then this next particular question was on, yes, Operation Sindoor and the Pahalgam terror attack. This entire set of questions on Pahalgam terror attack. Here you all can see that the Atari Wagah border has been mentioned, and Jammu and Kashmir, the Pahalgam terror attack killed civilians in Jammu and Kashmir. So if you would have revised from the mocks itself, then you would have been able to very easily solve questions based on it. Okay.
Tianjin declaration? No, what's one of the
We've
Pahalgam attack?
had Tianjin also. This is again another question on the Indus Water Treaty only. I had given 2 sets of questions in different mocks. So when was it signed and who? Here you see the rivers.
So this was in detail.
Yes.
I mean, anybody who has done this passages twice, where kisne sign kiya, kya sharing hai. So it was in depth.
Yes, then we have it on SCO. So SCO also we had a very full-fledged good question here. You see it was held in Tianjin. So we've mentioned it here that it was held in Tianjin. Then the 26th meeting will be held or passed on to Kyrgyzstan. This is also a direct question from one of our mocks. Then we have another question which is on here, the headquarters. This was an incorrect statement here. It was formally founded with headquarters in Shanghai. So this was an incorrect option here because the correct answer was Beijing. Okay. So here it was mentioned. Then this particular question, we had mentioned all of the members who join, and that too in chronological order. So here you will see that we do not have Myanmar as one of the members. So the mocks were very clearly direct questions were in your paper from our mocks. Okay. Then we had this.
Oh yeah, Chabahar port is mentioned here.
Yes.
The international
north-south corridor.
This one.
Yes.
The international north-south transport corridor.
Okay. Then the next one is on again SEO. One more question was given on SEO, and this was on Shanghai spirit and everything. So this was also a question which was much anticipated in terms of Shanghai. Yes, so Shanghai spirit. Then who were the members, etc. So all of this has been asked here in detail. Then this particular question was actually, I've mentioned it here because it is from our GK section that you got this direct question in your legal section in the mock, in the Clat exam this year, all right? This question and this entire topic is covered in detail in GK also, as well as in legal section as well. and it is a free video also that has been put on YouTube with respect to this very case. So all of this has been given to you. So this entire question has been asked, and one of the questions with respect to the meaning of the various parts and the veto part that has been extended, all of this has been asked in the legal section, and we had given it in one of the GK sections. So if you've done GK religiously, you will be able to clear the legal section also this year. And I'll show you that you will also be able to clear at least one passage in English this year. Okay. See, all of this has been asked, pocket veto, and they had given specifically certain things with respect to that. Okay. Then here, ALET mock 10. One, again, this was a GK question, legal question, okay, that we had given in the GK section. And what is the new tax slab for luxury goods? It was 40%. Okay. And
So
then
there was a question on this, na? What are the tax slabs
Yes.
now? 5, 18.
Yes, and then we had this
40.
again full-fledged question on GST itself, which was covered also by me in one of the videos. So everything with respect to GST has been covered here with the tax slabs given in the passage, because I thought that it is pretty easy. They will not ask you such a simple question, but apparently you've been asked very, very simple questions this time. Then this one question on SAC, okay, we had done a score booster sheet, and in this we had asked questions on SAC. So you do have one of the questions that I had given, actually made you all give, I had given you all notes with respect to who are the members of SAC and everything, and which of the following countries are not a member of SAC. Okay. Then top 25, so we'll do right now, but see the topics that we've covered in detail in class and in top 25. So we had all of this taken in class: base rate, reciprocal tariffs imposed by USA were 25%, then additional tariffs due to Russian oil imports. So all of this I have covered with you all, and it is absolutely free on our YouTube channel. So even if you were not enrolled with us, but you did go through our sessions on YouTube, you would have cleared the exam very easily this time.
तो आपने तो पेपर लीक कर दिया था
Yes.
मैम.
Direct questions from everything that I've taught.
H1B
you.
visa.
Yes, sure.
All in detail.
Everything in H1B
Yeah.
visa.
So it's
Yeah.
quite detailed. I mean,
Yes.
we went at least 5 levels above the paper. The paper was very simple. And we are hoping that in this paper, a good score would be
Then
22,
an entire
23.
full-fledged this thing I'd taken up on Chabahar Port also
Yeah.
for you all, with maps and with all the content and everything. Again, absolutely free on our YouTube channel. It was, I think, a part of November current affairs that we had done. Okay. So everything was mentioned here. I just want to show you all the FIDE slide, because in FIDE I had actually covered everything. Yes. Okay. Now all the questions that you've had is absolutely from here. Okay. So FIDE World Cup hosted in Goa. You'll see it here. Then
So one thing we would like to tell you that, it's the paper is difficult or easy, whatever. If you are broadly covering the topics, your research should be such that those topics are covered in entirety. Like FIDE, for instance, they asked the first world champion. I mean, such a question means that you have covered those topics broadly. So FIDE World Cup was an important topic. Trump was an important topic. So yeah, I mean, this part is covered. It's right there. Gupta Empire.
okay.
And it was called Chaturanga. You've
Yes,
covered that
yes,
there.
everything that's here.
No, you don't cover it. See? Chaturanga.
And
Okay,
GST
class.
also. Yes, I had taken a
All the
full-fledged
slabs.
class for you all. Yes. And here in one of the slides, I've actually mentioned also clearly that these slabs have been cut off, and now we have 5, 18, and 40 as the new tax slabs, which have been mentioned in the exam itself. Okay.
Conservation movement.
हाँ, आगे है. इसके बाद. This again, Pakistan Indus Water Treaty, not here.
Baisaran Valley,
Yes.
where the attack happened.
Sure.
Indus
The
Water
Indus
Treaty
Water,
in
all of
detail.
its rivers, yes, in detail.
This is on the YouTube also.
Yes, it is on the YouTube also. Just cover 2 days back again. Here you can see brokered by World Bank mentioned here.
Yeah.
Yeah. बढ़ा दूं?
No, it's not here.
This was SEO. SEO also we had covered in
Tangent
detail. Yes.
declaration.
The
Yeah.
Tianjin declaration and everything has been mentioned here in Tianjin, and 10 members. And again, you all can see that Myanmar is not a member. Tianjin declaration was
The
adopted.
members also
Yes.
mentioned.
Okay.
So I mean, everything was there. In fact, the last 25 वाला जो हमने किया था, उसमें तो almost सब
This
कुछ
is
cover हो ही
from
चुका था.
last 25 only, children. This is from the top 25 topics that we had given you all just 2 days back.
English वाला दिखा.
This legal, I just wanted to
Yeah.
show you all that there was this one entire question and exactly the same thing in the same order that you had to remember and mark: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. All right, this was everything for that one correct answer in the paper in the legal section. Okay, then this particular topic here, Tamil Nadu governor case, was also taken up in detail by Vaklu sir in one of the YouTube sessions, which is again free. Please subscribe now. And here for English, I just wanted to show you all that this everything that I've covered in these slides, all of this is taken up directly from Bipin Chandra. All right, this is Bipin Chandra NCRT class 12th modern Indian history. And everybody who ever asks me that, ma'am, what do we need to do with respect to the history section in the exams, I keep on suggesting you that you only have to read one book, that is Bipin Chandra class 12th modern Indian history. All right, so if you had gone through it, then that particular passage will also become fairly easy for you all. And a lot of you said that, ma'am, you grilled us the entire year teaching us history and personality mapping, etc. But we did not get any particular topic in history. So here it is. They did not give you in GK, but they did give it to you in English. All right.
So good score is 22 plus out of 28 questions that were asked.
Yes.
And a very good score would be 25 plus in this paper because it was easy.
Yes.
And second thing is that you've seen those students who are writing that paper next year, we would ask you that do follow the channel, right? A lot of times the things that we cover, invariably is asked. So this time we've had a strike rate of almost 95% in the paper. We've just shown that to you. So in fact, what we did 3 days ago, that's just there,
Yes.
right? So I mean, you should do the classes
And
well.
we'll
You
show
should do
you
the
a
mocks.
slide where the topics that we covered in the top 25 just 2 days back has been, you've gotten 4 straight topics from that only in your exam.
So now for
Okay.
ALET,
The
we're
screen
doing
has been shared with you all. You all can see that.
now for ALET, we are doing a session on Thursday, right? Again, it's a marathon session, and we'll try and cover as many as 500 questions and discuss them. So we are hoping that a few questions in the examination come from that. I mean, when you cover in entirety, the questions have to come from there, meaning there is no guesswork here. And that's what has happened here. I mean, what we are saying is the paper was very simple because we have covered the ocean and it was just a lake for us here.
Yes.
Right? So that's what we are going to do on Thursday. So those of you who are writing the ALET paper can also attend this session. All right. Thank you very much. And now
All the best, children, for your
yeah.
results. And now we'll just move forward with the
Next
last 2
section.
sections left. Okay. Thank you.
हेलो गाइस, वेलकम एंड आप लोग ने एक्सपेक्ट भी नहीं किया होगा कि द मोस्ट एंटिसिपेटेड द सेक्शन would be logical reasoning section instead of general awareness section or the portion of legal reasoning for you guys because of the kind of a paper that Clat consortium has put forward you. All the students जिन लोग ने proper तरीके से अपनी preparation करी थी for IELTS and who have attended all our classes would have been very well, obviously shock was, everybody was shocked, but they would have been able to crack this particular section very properly. The first caselet which came in the logical reasoning section was from the section of alphanumeric. Okay? Alphabet series, number series, and alphanumeric series is something that we taught. And if you would have seen the video, the YouTube video that we have put forward you in this particular section on the analytical reasoning, though उसमें IELTS 2026 हमने लिखा था, लेकिन analytical reasoning वाला वो section अगर आपने देखा होगा, सबसे पहले what I discussed with you was alphabet series, number series, and then I asked that alphanumeric के भी directly kind of questions बनते हैं. And even if वो अगर अपन ने basics of logical reasoning अपन ने पढ़ा था, analytical reasoning अपन ने पढ़ा था, so this should not be any kind of a difficult question for you for sure. Okay? So if you see this particular first caselet, it says that in a language laboratory, students were given an interesting puzzle involving the words electrocardiograph. So the teacher explained that such exercise not only tests the logical skills but also sharpens the attention of the student. कहानी है फालतू की, ignore मारो इस लाइन को, ठीक है? According to the challenge, the word had to undergo a series of transformation. अभी भी कहानी है, ignore मारो. First, the class was asked to. So this is the point. The class was asked to take the first half of the letters. So first check it out. How many letters are there? अगर even number of letters है, उसका half करना बड़ा आसान हो जाएगा. 20 letters है, तो 10 इधर, 10 इधर, ठीक है? So the student who attended the class, मैंने इस concept को बताते टाइम एग्जाम्पल भी लिया था शोले मूवी का, ठीक है? शोले मूवी में जेलर क्या बोलता था? आधे इधर जाओ, बाकी मेरे पीछे आओ. वही लॉजिक यहाँ पे, करेक्ट? अगर ऑड नंबर ऑफ पर्सन होंगे तो जेलर आखिरी बंदा होगा जो वहां पे खड़ा रह जाएगा, आधे इधर चले आएंगे, आधे इधर चले आएंगे, करेक्ट? याद है वो एग्जांपल जो क्लासेस में डिस्कस हुआ है आपके साथ? रिवर्स देयर ऑर्डर, ठीक है? सो फर्स्ट हाफ को रिवर्स कर देना है हमें. तो यहाँ पे हमने देखा 2 2 4 2 2 4 2 6 2 8 2 10 2 12 2 14 2 16 और 2 18, 18 अल्फाबेट्स थे. If the 18 अल्फाबेट्स, उसका हाफ कितना हो जाएगा? 9. तो 9 अल्फाबेट्स, 2 2 4 2 2 4 2 6 2 8 और 9. So this is the point, ठीक है? So पहले के 9, बाद के 9 चेक भी कर लो. 2 2 4 2 6 2 8 और 1 9, यस. और इसका रिवर्स कर देना है. तो उसका रिवर्स क्या हो जाएगा? A C O R T C E L E, ठीक है? तो इसको इस ऑर्डर में मैंने लिख दिया और कुछ नहीं किया स्पेशल काम. और बाकी को वैसे वैसा कॉपी पेस्ट कर दो आप. इट विल बी RDIOGRAPH, ठीक है? ये बस ये याद रखना कि यहां से रिवर्स किया गया था इसको. अभी भी इसमें 18 ही अल्फाबेट्स है. एंड मेक द अरेंजमेंट ऑफ लेटर्स लुक क्वाइट डिफरेंट. ये भी फालतू की कहानी फिर से आ गई. नेक्स्ट क्या करना है वो इंपॉर्टेंट है. The students was told to identify the last but one letter. Last but one letter मतलब पीछे से second, है ना? तो last but one means we are talking about P in this case, ठीक है? Of the original word and place it in the very beginning. So P को यहाँ से उठाओ और उसको आगे रख दो, ठीक है? तो P आ जाएगा यहाँ पे और अब ये दिखने लगेगा P उड़ गया है तो अब सिर्फ H रह गया है. Perfect. Next, and place it in the very beginning. A step that changed the opening appearance of the sequence completely. Finally, as a finishing touch, they had to add the letter S at the end. आखिरी में S add कर दो. Okay. Following these steps carefully would lead them to the correct transformed word, and only those who adhere to each condition in the exact order could solve the puzzle successfully. Okay? So this is what you are supposed to, note down. Okay? So the first question was which letter will be exactly in the middle. एग्जैक्टली इन द मिडिल। अब देखो यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंट बात हो गई, ऑलरेडी देयर वर 18, ठीक है, हमने इधर से p उठाया, आगे पटक दिया, कोई चेंज आया? कोई ना, मतलब अभी भी 18 के 18 ही है, बट बिकॉज वी एडेड 1 s इनटू इट, तो अब हो गए 19, करेक्ट? तो अब जब 19 अल्फाबेट्स हो गए हैं, अब इसका मिडिल अल्फाबेट शोले मूवी का जेलर होगा। तो वो कैसे निकालते हैं? नंबर ऑफ टर्म्स प्लस 1 अपॉन 2th टर्म, मीडियन निकालने का तरीका, तो दैट विल बी द 10th टर्म, ठीक है। तो आगे से 10th क्या होगा? 2, 2 4, 2 6, 2 8 और 2 9 और एक 10वां। So E will become the 10th alphabet and thereby the answer will be E option and that will be your answer, guys. Understood? That's all you are supposed to do. ठीक है, अब इसमें एक छोटी सी गड़बड़ होगी, क्योंकि अभी जब मैं इसको रब करूंगा तो ये वाला जो लिखा हुआ है वो उड़ जाएगा। तो आप इसको स्क्रीनशॉट लेके आप जो जॉट डाउन करके रख लीजिए, ताकि हम आगे जब क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करें तो आपको डिफिकल्टी ना हो। ओके, how many vowels will be to the left of the middle letter? ठीक है, so how many vowels will be to the left of the middle? तो middle letter we knew was what? middle यहां पे आया था, ये जो P था वो उठ के आगे आ गया था, और आखिरी में S आ गया था। That is what we actually did, कोई स्पेशल बात नहीं है, ठीक है। so how many vowels were to the left of the middle? so और इसको जब हमने पलटा था तो ये बन गया था अब हमारा क्या? ए सी, सॉरी, हाँ ठीक है, ACORTCELE और P सबसे आगे आ गया था, ठीक है। सो द मिडिल लेटर वाज E, इसके लेफ्ट में वॉवल्स कितने काउंट करना था, तो नंबर ऑफ वॉवल्स विल बी E यहाँ पे होगा, O यहाँ पे होगा, A यहाँ पे होगा। So how many vowels are there? There are 3 vowels and that will be your answer, guys. There will be 3 vowels, correct? Which of the 2 vowels will be adjoining each other? अब इसके लिए आपको आगे पलटो या ना पलटो फर्क पड़ेगा क्या? नहीं, ठीक है, क्योंकि अपन ने बहुत ज्यादा कोई चेंजेस तो करे नहीं है। 2 वॉवल्स जो इकट्ठे आए हुए हैं वो कौन कौन से होंगे? तो अगर आप यहाँ पे देखो, ये ई और ये एक वॉवल है, इकट्ठे नहीं है। ओ एंड सी ए अलग अलग है। आई एंड ओ आर द ओनली 2 वॉवल्स विच आर टुगेदर, so I and O will become your answer. आपको इसमें कुछ चेंज करने की जरूरत भी नहीं, करेक्ट? So I and O will be your answer to this particular question. Third का B answer. Will have a consonant to the left but a vowel to the right. यहाँ पे भी आपको चेंज करने की जरूरत नहीं है। उसने क्या बोला है? ऐसा कौन सा वॉवल है जिसके लेफ्ट में कॉन्सोनेंट होगा और उसके राइट में वॉवल होगा? अब ऑब्वियस सी बात है, ये वही वॉवल हो सकता है जिसके राइट में वॉवल है, और एक ही ऐसा वॉवल था आई ओ जो आजू में जो एक दूसरे के आजू बाजू में है, करेक्ट? तो आई के राइट में ओ है, ठीक है, राइट में ओ है, सो आई विल बी दैट पर्टिकुलर वॉवल। मैं वहां पे पीछे देखने जाऊंगा भी नहीं, अगर जाऊंगा तो और जस्ट रिकन्फर्मेशन हो जाएगा। तो आई ओ की अगर आप बात करो तो आई के लेफ्ट में एक कॉन्सोनेंट है विच इज बी, और आई के राइट में एक वॉवल है विच इज, ठीक है। सो अगेन अगर ये वाले को मैंने कुछ चेंजेस नहीं भी किए होते तो भी मैं आंसर कर सकता था, ठीक है। सो दिस द आंसर फॉर फोर्थ क्वेश्चन विल बी ए, ठीक है। नेम द लेटर्स सैंडविच बिटवीन 2 वॉवल्स। अब ऐसे कौन सा पर्टिकुलर लेटर है जो 2 वॉवल्स के बीचों बीच है, तो वो हमें यहाँ पर ऊपर नजर आ जाएगा। अगेन उसके लिए हमें अलग से कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। ELE, बिल्कुल, ELE is sandwich, मतलब L is sandwich between E and E, तो L is one of them, ठीक है। और C के आजू बाजू O और A है, which are the 2 vowels, तो yes, so L and C will become my answer। अब मैं देखूंगा L and C कहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है। L and C is B option, so fifth का B option will become my answer। Which letter is prefix to the word after the first half is reversed, ठीक है। तो कौन सा लेटर हमने फर्स्ट हाफ को रिवर्स करने के बाद प्रीफिक्स किया था? ये तो क्वेश्चन में गिवन था, पी हमने प्रीफिक्स किया था, करेक्ट गाइस? ठीक है, पहले हमने आधे जहां पे ई आया था उधर उसके इधर वाले जितने भी लेटर्स था उनको हम लोगों ने रिप्लेस किया था, एंड देन वी प्रीफिक्स व्हाट? वी प्रीफिक्स पी टू इट। दैट इज व्हाट इज मेंशन्ड हियर आल्सो। फर्स्ट स्टेप में क्या था, नेक्स्ट द स्टूडेंट्स वर टोल्ड टू आइडेंटिफाई द लास्ट बट वन लेटर व्हिच वाज P, है ना, एंड प्लेस इट एट द वेरी बिगिनिंग. प्रीफिक्स मतलब वर्ड के पहले लगाने को प्रीफिक्स बोलते हैं, वर्ड के बाद में लगाने को सफिक्स बोलते हैं. वोकैबुलरी क्लासेस में आपने बहुत बार ये सुना होगा. So nothing so special here. So these 6 questions were very doable questions, and I took more time to solve and discuss with you. But ideal time to solve the first 6 questions should have been not more than 3.5 to 4 minutes. Okay, this is what I expect from you guys. This particular question was a good tricky question. Critical reasoning का question था, but critical reasoning भी था, puzzle भी था, काफी कुछ था इसमें. ठीक है, तो उसने क्या बोला है, on the night of October 12th, this particular medallion was stolen from the highly secure display case in the city museum. The theft occurred sometime between the museum closing at 10 p.m. तो 10 p.m. पे closing time था, and the night guard Mr. Hemant completing his final round at 1 a.m. 3 primary suspects were identified, all of whom had recently been dismissed from their museum positions. Anjali, Bharat और चित्रा, ये 3 लोगों को हटाया गया था. क्या था, established facts and their alibis. Alibis मतलब वो जो क्या कहते हैं, उन्होंने क्या अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए क्या बोला. ठीक है, the security system logs show that the display case was opened using a specific 5-digit code which only Anjali and the museum director knew. तो अगर कोड यूज हुआ होगा तो अंजलि वुड बी द फर्स्ट एंड द प्राइमरी सस्पेक्ट. ठीक है, और ऐसा बोला भी गया है शायद. आगे बढ़ते हैं. भरत एलिबाई, मतलब भरत ने अपने आप को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट किया कि उसने बोला कि भैया मैं किसी दूसरे एक मेरे कोई रिलेटिव है, उनकी बर्थडे पार्टी में गया हुआ था और मैं 8 बजे से लेकर 1:30 बजे तक वहीं पे था, जबकि हमें पता है कि चोरी 10 से लेकर 1 बजे के बीच में हुई है. तो इसका मतलब इस बात के थ्रू तो भरत ने अपने आप को बचा लिया. ठीक है, अगर एलिबाई सही है तो. लेकिन उसने आगे बोला भी कि मल्टीपल इंडिपेंडेंट विटनेसेस कंफर्म हिज प्रेजेंस थ्रूआउट द इंटायर पीरियड. तो इसका मतलब यस, वी आर एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई कि अभी तो भरत नहीं सस्पेक्ट दिख रहा. Chitra's alibi is that she was working late at a downtown graphic design studio. A time-stamped security camera, जो अपने आप में एक पुख्ता सबूत है, showed her entering at 7 p.m. and exiting at 11:45 p.m. Yes. इसका मतलब अगर इस ड्यूरेशन में वो वहां पे थी, और उसने आगे ये भी बोला है कि स्टूडियो इज 20 minutes away from the म्यूजियम, तो इसका मतलब 7:45 से अगर वो म्यूजियम गई भी होगी चोरी करने, तो 12:05 में वो म्यूजियम पहुंची होगी. तो 12:05 विल बी द टाइम इन व्हिच ही शुड हैव रीच्ड द म्यूजियम. तो अगर वो चोरी कर सकती है तो कितने टाइम से कितने टाइम के बीच में कर सकती है, 12:05 से लेकर 1 PM के बीच, 1 AM के बीच में वो चोरी कर सकती है. ठीक है, क्योंकि 1 AM तक, ठीक है, 1 AM 10 से 1 के बीच में चोरी हुई है क्योंकि. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट, मिस्टर हेमंत द नाइट गार्ड स्टेटेड ही चेक द मेडालियन at 10:30 p.m. it was still there. तो इसका मतलब चोरी अब 10 से 1 के बीच में नहीं, 10:30 से 1 के बीच में हुई होगी. ठीक है, that is the next important point. Further investigation revealed that a small distinctive silver button was found near the display case. Anjali is known to frequently wear a coat with similar unique silver buttons. The security expert Bharat had previously boasted that he could remotely disable a certain type of magnetic lock. ठीक है, भरत ने ये बोला है. अभी ये पहले वाले से पता चलता है कि अंजलि भी वैसा ही सिल्वर बटन यूज करती थी जैसा वहां पे पाया गया, तो अंजलि की ओर फिर से सस्पेक्ट जा रहा है. ठीक है, और भरत ने कहा था कि भाई मैं तो एक ऐसा मैग्नेटिक लॉक है जिसमें दूर से ही, ठीक है, मिडिल केस विदाउट नीडिंग द कोड, मैं बिना कोड के उसको ओपन कर सकता हूँ. दो द लॉग सजेस्ट दैट द कोड वाज यूज्ड. लॉग ने क्या, अब लॉग झूठ नहीं बोल सकता. द लॉग सजेस्टेड दैट द कोड वाज यूज, इसका मतलब कोड यूज हुआ है वहां पे. तो फिर से इवन दो भरत अंडर सस्पेक्ट आया, लेकिन फिर से वो बाहर हो गया सस्पेक्ट से. दैट इज द पॉइंट. तो ये पूरी कहानी इज व्हाट इज गिवन टू यू. आइडेंटिफाइंग द मोस्ट लाइकली सस्पेक्ट. सो अंजलि सीम्स टू बी द मोस्ट लाइकली सस्पेक्ट, है ना, क्योंकि भरत का तो एलिबाई था कि वो वहां पे था ही नहीं, और अगर वो रिमोटली भी करेगा तो रिमोटली भी नहीं कर सकता. क्यों? क्योंकि उस लॉग बुक ने कहा है कि कोड यूज हुआ है. अगर सारी बातें जो बोली गई वो सही है तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग अंजलि ही सस्पेक्ट बैठ रही है. चित्रा क्यों नहीं हो सकती? क्योंकि पहली बात, चित्रा को कोड नहीं पता, ठीक है। दूसरी बात, अगर उसको कोड पता है या उसको कोड बता दिया गया होगा या उसने कुछ भी किया होगा, तो उस सिनेरियो के अकॉर्डिंग तो चोरी हुई होगी 12:05 से लेकर 1 बजे के बीच में। लेकिन जो सबसे और फिर एक और हमें क्या बात पता चली कि एक वहां पे सिल्वर बटन मिला है, जैसा सिल्वर बटन अंजलि पहनती है, तो मोस्ट लाइकली सस्पेक्ट तो अंजलि ही बैठी, करेक्ट। अगर आपने पूरा पैसेज पढ़ा होगा तो आपका भी यही आंसर आया होगा, ठीक है। हु इज द मोस्ट प्लॉजिबल सस्पेक्ट अमंग द थ्री, सो अंजलि विल बिकम माय आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन, ठीक है। तो ये एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग कम, लेकिन क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग का ज्यादा क्वेश्चन था। इवैल्यूएटिंग एलिबाइज एंड टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट्स, द थेफ्ट अकर्ड बिटवीन 10 to 1, लेकिन हाँ हमें पता है कि 10:30 में हमारे गार्ड साहब ने देखा था, तो 10:30 के बाद ही हुई होगी चोरी, अगर हुई है तो obviously हुई है। But the night guard saw the medallion at 10:30 p.m. Given Chitra's alibi, what is the earliest time she could have reached the museum? 12:05. बातें करते करते हमने ये आंसर कर लिया था ऑलरेडी कैलकुलेट, तो 12:05 will become my answer to this particular question. बहुत सिंपल है ये तो। If the theft was committed, ये क्या है? Deduction and contrary evidence, ठीक है। If the theft was committed by Bharat, अगर भरत ने ये चोरी करी है, which established fact must be incorrect based on the provided information. तो कौन सी इन्फॉर्मेशन गलत होगी? क्योंकि भरत ने अगर चोरी करी है तो भरत ने क्या किया होगा? ऑब्वियसली वो वहां पे आके की होगी चोरी, एक ऑप्शन, या उसने रिमोटली उसको डिसआर्म कर दिया होगा, किसी और से चोरी करवाई होगी। These are the things that are going on in my mind. We'll read the option and based on that we will decide. The medallion was present at 10:30 p.m. ये इन्फॉर्मेशन सही भी हो सकती है, गलत भी हो सकती है। We are okay with both the scenarios, correct? The security log indicating the code was used. हाँ, ये इन्फॉर्मेशन एक तरह से गलत हो सकती है कि the security logs indicating the code was used. ये इन्फॉर्मेशन अगर गलत होगी तो obviously that can be one of the reason. The museum closing time of 10 p.m. इससे कोई फर्क पड़ेगा नहीं हमें, correct? The time frame of his alibi, which is 8 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., that obviously is giving a major doubt कि वो आंसर बिल्कुल हो सकता है, correct? So according to me, B and D were both good options to be chosen from, but इनमें से कौन सा आंसर आपका होना चाहिए? That will be security logs indicating the code was used. अगर ये provided information incorrect है, ठीक है, तब भी क्या हम सिर्फ उसके ऊपर ब्लेम डाल सकते हैं? नहीं, लेकिन सबसे ज्यादा सस्पेक्ट उस पर तब जाएगा जब टाइम फ्रेम ऑफ हिज एलिबाई अगर गलत हो जाता है तो डी ऑप्शन अकॉर्डिंग टू मी विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर, ठीक है। Next goes the 10th question, which says the discovery of the silver button near the display case is the most incriminating evidence against which suspect? Obviously it is against Anjali. तो मैं वो सारे ऑप्शन जहां पे भरत चित्रा लिखा हुआ तो मैं वैसे ही उड़ा दूंगा। मैं सबसे पहले अंजलि वाला ऑप्शन पढ़ूंगा, ठीक है। सो अंजलि बिकॉज शी इज नोन टू वियर अ कोड विद सिमिलर बटन, सो दैट विल बी माय आंसर। फिर भी हेमंत वाली बात देख लेते, पता नहीं क्या है उसमें। एज ही वाज द लास्ट पर्सन टू चेक द एरिया, नहीं ये हम नहीं बोल सकते, लेकिन हाँ अगर ऐसी कोई बात की गई होती कि हेमंत, बिकॉज हेमंत ने ही ये बात पॉइंट आउट करी है अबाउट अंजलि, तो हो सकता है एक अच्छा ऑप्शन बन सकता था टू इवन चेक इट फ्रॉम, बट अकॉर्डिंग टू मी सी इज अ वेरी करेक्ट आंसर इन दिस स्लॉट, ठीक है। Identify the logical flaw in the argument. A detective argues since Bharat is confirmed as a confirmed continuous alibi covering the entire time window of the theft 10:30 to 1 a.m. he cannot be the thief. ऐसा एक डिटेक्टिव ने बोला। What principle of logic supports this detective's conclusion? ठीक है, तो कौन सा वाला प्रिंसिपल हमें वो करता है? Correlation does not imply causation, ठीक है। Correlation means the two things being related to each other, ठीक है। लेकिन हाँ यहाँ पे ये वाला एकदम से नहीं आएगा। If an event requires presence, चोरी क्या कर पाओगे आप जब आप फिजिकली वहां पे होगे। Confirmed absence proves innocence. अगर आप कंफर्म कर पाते हो कि आप वहां पे नहीं हो, इतनी मूवीज देखी होंगी आपने, आपने सब मूवीज में देखा, अरे मैं तो उस समय इस फलाना पार्टी में था, ठीक है, इस वजह से मैं ये तो चोरी कर ही नहीं सकता, या ये पर्टिकुलर क्राइम में कर ही नहीं सकता। ऑब्वियसली बी ऑप्शन विल बी द बेस्ट ऑप्शन अकॉर्डिंग टू मी फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन एज वेल, ठीक है। दो क्वेश्चन अभी इसके और है। कंसीडरिंग ऑल द फैक्ट्स, द कोड being used, the silver button and the confirmed alibis, which is the most reasonable inference. अगेन यहाँ पे इन तीनों बातें अगर सच है तो सबसे ज्यादा किस पे शक जाएगा? अंजलि पे। बस सिंपली भरत और चित्रा वाली बात मैं पढ़ूंगा भी नहीं, मैं अंजलि वाली बात पढ़ूंगा, और अगर इसमें कोई ब्लंडर चीज नहीं लिखी होगी तो मैं ये मान भी करूँ, ठीक है? So Anjali is the most likely suspect because the code was used and she has a direct link to the physical evidence. The button, yes, बिल्कुल सही बात लिखी गई है. So I'll mark this and move ahead. ठीक है? Assessing the necessary conditions. What condition is necessary for Chitra to have stolen the medallion? क्या necessary condition है कि उसको कोड पता होना चाहिए? हाँ, तो necessary condition है क्या वो? हाँ, अगर कोड नहीं भी पता हो तो क्या वो 12/5 पे जाके, ठीक है, जो पर्सन जो रिमोटली एक्सेस कर सकता है उसके साथ मिलके ये चोरी कर सकती है? वेरी पॉसिबल. ठीक है. शी मस्ट हैव लेफ्ट द ग्राफिक डिजाइन स्टूडियो बिफोर 11:45. नहीं, ये कोई मैंडेटरी कंडीशन नहीं, क्योंकि अगर उससे पहले नहीं भी वो निकली हुई होगी तब भी वो चोरी करने जा सकती है. The theft must have occurred after she left the studio and before 1 a.m. Not necessarily to be true. ठीक है. She must have worked with Anjali to dispose of rock. Not with Anjali, but ज्यादा chances वैसे उसके साथ थे. लेकिन A option will become my answer. Why? She must know the 5-digit code. अब knowing can come from knowing through Anjali or knowing through the third guy. But yes, according to me, A option और C option में से ज्यादा अच्छा option A है, even though C might also be a good options. But yes, यहाँ पे हम लोग की खुद की internal team में भी we had a lot of discussion and we finally said that A seems to be the correct answer. ठीक है. So that was second case study, guys, and it was a very doable case study. अगर आपने अच्छी तरह पढ़ा होगा, critical reasoning का question था. अगर इस क्वेश्चन को आपने छोड़ा भी होगा तो only one question you could have skipped, बाकी सारे questions were very doable. ठीक है. Now again बहुत सारी फालतू की कहानी है, इसका डिडक्शन जो है वो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो आप पॉइंट आउट कर लीजिए. इन अ स्मॉल टाउन कहानी फालतू की. व्हाट आर द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स, मैं वो लाइन मार देता हूं उस पे. A into B, it means A is the father of B. A divided by B means A is the mother. The younger ones कहानी. A plus B meaning A is a daughter and A minus B meaning A is a brother. बस इतना ही सी लाइनें वह इंपॉर्टेंट, बाकी सारी कहानी जो लिखी गई है वो सब फालतू की कहानी थी, जिसको आप स्किमिंग एंड स्कैनिंग प्रोसेस के थ्रू इग्नोर मार देते तो भी आप क्वेश्चन आंसर कर पाओगे. क्लियर गाइस? लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड. First question, P plus Q. So P plus Q means A plus B means A was a daughter. So P plus Q will mean that P was a daughter. P was a daughter of Q. So Q is the parent. May father and mother we do not know abhi. Q minus R. That Q is a brother. Now Q is supposed to be the brother of R. That means the second parent will be the wife. ठीक है. So first time क्या थी? P plus Q. Well, P is a daughter, correct? So female. Next line says R minus R divided by T. So R divided by T means R is the mother. R is the mother of P. So T और P आपस में क्या हो गए? Cousin. So T and P will become cousin of each other, and in this case the answer will be none of these. Obviously क्योंकि cousin जैसा option नहीं है. ओके ग्रेट. तो कुछ नया सीखा आज मैंने. तो जो सीखा है वो मैं यहाँ पे आपके लिए लिख भी लेता हूँ ताकि आगे आने वाले क्वेश्चन में हमें कोई कंफ्यूजन ना रहे. तो व्हाट आर द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंटर्स जो मेरे को याद करने हैं यहाँ पे, मतलब पॉइंटर याद क्या करने हैं, इनको यूज करना है. A डिवाइडेड बाय B मींस A इज द मदर ऑफ B. ये पॉइंट मैं याद कर लेता हूँ, ये वाला क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो ही चुका है. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज A इज द मदर वाली लाइन हो चुकी है. और A इंटू B, A is the father of B. A plus B means A is a daughter of B. And A minus B means A is the brother of B. ठीक है, सो ये इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स है, बाकी सारी कहानी हम लोग के लिए ऐसी कोई यूजफुल नहीं है, इसलिए लेट मी जस्ट गो डाउन and use this information to answer the coming forward questions for you. You know, the following means R is the wife of P. So if R is supposed to be the wife, so P is supposed to be the husband. So इसका मतलब R should be female and P should be male. ऐसे वाले ऑप्शन जहां पे R is not coming out to be male, या P is not coming out to be male, वो ऑप्शन में उड़ा दूंगा. So P into R means P is the father. तो ये ऑप्शन अभी हम रखेंगे अपने उसमें, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट थिंग सेज P डिवाइडेड बाय T. P डिवाइडेड बाय T मींस P इज द मदर, तो P तो मदर हो जाएगी, तो वो ऑप्शन हम चेक भी नहीं करेंगे. P डिवाइडेड बाय R, अगेन P इज द मदर, चेक भी नहीं करेंगे. दीज टू ऑप्शन आई विल चेक, क्योंकि ये दोनों ऑप्शंस हमारे पास क्या दे रहे हैं, P को हमें मेल दे रहे हैं, ठीक है. और यहाँ पे R माइनस Q है, एंड R माइनस Q मींस R इज अ ब्रदर, ठीक है. तो R इज अ ब्रदर ऑफ समथिंग आ गया, इसका मतलब यहां पे भी R बिकम्स अ मेल, R फीमेल होनी चाहिए, तो ये भी हम चेक भी नहीं करेंगे. तो कैन यू सी, विदाउट इवन ऑप्टिंग फॉर और इवन सॉल्विंग दिस क्वेश्चन, वी कुड हैव सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन. अंडरस्टूड गाइस? ठीक है. तो फिर भी आपको अगर चेक करना है तो मैं करके दिखा देता हूं. P into T meant P is the father of T, so P is the father of T. T minus Q means P is the brother of Q. Q plus R means Q is a daughter of R. That means these two will be husband and wife. अभी तो इनके दोनों बच्चे हुए, ठीक है, तो ये फीमेल होगी. So R is the wife of P. It proves it. So that will become my D as my answer. लेकिन मेरे को सॉल्व करने की जरूरत नहीं थी इस क्वेश्चन को आंसर. करेक्ट गाइस? ये कहानी मैं उड़ा रहा हूं, ये हम बढ़िया से वैसे वैसा रख के आगे सॉल्व करते हैं. P into T divided by Q plus R. How is R related to P? That is something we need to solve. So P into T का मतलब P is the father. So P is the father of T. T divided by Q. T divided by Q means T is the mother of Q. So T is the mother of Q. And Q plus R. Sorry. Q plus R. हाँ, यहाँ पे भी Q plus R ये आया. Q plus R means that Q is a daughter of R. So Q is a daughter of R. तो R यहाँ पे आ गया. तो क्योंकि ये मदर है तो ऑब्वियसली ये फादर रहा होगा. So what will be my answer? How is R rated to P? R rated to P. तो rated to के बाद में जो नाउन आता है हम उससे पूछते हैं. हम P से पूछेंगे कि वो R को क्या बुलाएगा. तो हमने P से जब पूछा तो वो R को सन इन लॉ बुलाएगा, जमाई साहब, ठीक है. चलो जी आगे बढ़ते हैं. So P divided by the kahani. How is P rated to P? So P divided by R. P divided by R means P is the mother of R. So P is the mother of R. R minus Q. R is the brother of Q. Or Q into T. Q into T, that means Q is the father. So Q is the father of T. So how is P rated to T? दोबारा rated to के बाद में जो नाउन आता है उससे हम पूछेंगे कि वो फर्स्ट नाउन को क्या बुलाएगा. हमने T से पूछा कि वो P को क्या बुलाएगा, तो T P को ग्रैंड मदर, क्योंकि दोनों एक ही सेट ऑफ पेरेंट्स के बच्चे हैं ना, तो टी जो है वो पी को ग्रैंड मदर बुलाएगा, सो ए ऑप्शन विल बिकम माय आंसर. अंडरस्टूड? The next question says r divided by q plus r into t. This was a wrong question. इनमें से गलती से उन्होंने एक जगह पे p होना चाहिए था, लेकिन उन्होंने दो जगह r लिख दिया, इसलिए क्वेश्चन गलत है. इसके आइडियली आप सभी को जिन्होंने अटेम्प्ट किया होगा, नहीं अटेम्प्ट किया होगा, ये क्वेश्चन ही हट जाएगा, तो आपका पूरा का पेपर जो आंसर आएगा, सही जो मार्क्स आएंगे वो 119 में से आएंगे, ना कि 120 में से. दिस इज व्हाट वी एक्सपेक्ट द कंसोर्टियम टू डू, इसलिए मैं इसको सॉल्व नहीं करूंगा. दिस इज अ रॉन्ग क्वेश्चन. 19 क्वेश्चन कर लेते हैं. r minus p, r minus p, r is the brother of p, so r is the brother of p. P divided by j, so p is the mother, so p is the mother of j, and j into q, j is the father of, so j is the father of q. The question is, how is j rated to r? तो rated to के बाद जो noun आया है, that is r. तो हम r से पूछेंगे कि वो j को क्या बुलाएगा, तो j को अपने सिस्टर का बेटा, sister का बेटा will be called nephew. So nephew will become your answer to this particular question, guys. Okay, I guess this was the last question on this set. Yes. So ये वाला सेट भी ब्लड रिलेशन का सेट था. Every question was very doable, है ना, and according to me, all the question you should be able to answer in this set as well. Okay. Next question आया. This was the only difficult set, I would say. जो moderate to difficult वाली कैटेगरी में आएगा. Everything else was easy to moderate कह सकते हैं, क्योंकि एक क्वेश्चन बस moderate था, बाकी सारे के क्वेश्चन वर वेरी इजी ऑफ द ऑल द क्वेश्चन दैट केम बिफोर दिस. ठीक है. सो ये पर्टिकुलर आपकी 4 टीमें हैं, ठीक है, आर कंपीटिंग इन अ फाइनल राउंड ऑफ द इंटर स्कूल साइंस ओलंपियाड लेबल्ड A, B, C and D वर द 4 राउंड्स. ईच राउंड कंसिस्ट ऑफ 1 मैच. हर राउंड में सिर्फ एक ही मैच होने वाला है, ठीक है, between 2 teams and every team plays exactly 2 matches. अगर एक टीम ने 2 मैच खेले, ठीक है, तो टोटल मैचेस कितने हुए होंगे? 4 राउंड में तो 4 मैचेस हुए होंगे, ठीक है. तो इसका मतलब हर टीम ने 2-2 मैचेस खेले हैं. दैट इज आल्सो गिवन. एंड मैचेस कितने होंगे? 4 मैचेस रहे, ठीक है. नो टीम प्लेज द सेम ओपोनेंट मोर देन वंस. एक टीम ने एक से ज्यादा ओपोनेंट को एक बार में नहीं खेला. So the final schedule must adhere to the following rules. So these are the rules which are supposed to be adhered. ठीक है. तो इसको मैं सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करता हूँ आपके लिए. So कैसे लिखेंगे? Round A. I actually want some more space here. ठीक है. मैं थोड़ा सा मिनिमाइज करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, if it helps. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे आएगा हमारा मैच 1, या ये बोलना चाहिए हमारे पास आएगा राउंड ए, राउंड बी, राउंड सी एंड राउंड डी. ठीक है. एक एक पॉइंट हम पढ़ते जाएंगे, उसको हम सॉल्व करते जाएंगे. ठीक है गाइस. रूल 1 सेज consecutive play. The green team G must play their 2 matches in consecutive rounds. एक के बाद एक, मतलब ए बी, बी सी या सी डी. ठीक है. तो रख देते हैं. तो जी ने ये दोनों मैचेस खेले होंगे लगातार, या जी ने ये दोनों मैचेस खेले होंगे लगातार, ठीक है, या जी ने ये दोनों मैचेस खेले होंगे लगातार. ठीक है. तो दीज आर द ओनली 3 ऑप्शंस व्हिच आर देयर. करेक्ट गाइस? केस 1, केस 2, केस 3 तीनों रख दिए. येलो टीम मस्ट प्ले इन राउंड बी. तो येलो टीम अगर मस्ट प्ले इन राउंड बी, इसका मतलब जी वाई ये वाले मैचेस तो राउंड बी के फिक्स हो गए. द रेड टीम आर मस्ट प्ले अगेंस्ट द ब्लू टीम इन अ राउंड दैट इज इमीडिएटली बिफोर अ राउंड इन विच नीदर आर नॉर बी इज प्लेइंग. ठीक है. तो ये कह रहा है वो आर और बी का एक मैच हुआ होगा, और इसके जस्ट बाद एक ऐसा मैच हुआ होगा जहां पे ना तो आर खेल रहा है ना ही बी खेल रहा है. ठीक है। सो अगर यहाँ पे देखें तो यहाँ पे ना तो आर खेल रहा है ना तो बी खेल रहा है, ठीक है। लेकिन इसके बाद में अगर हमने आर और बी का मैच यहाँ खिला दिया तो इसके बाद में ना तो आर खेलेगा ना बी खेलेगा, ठीक है। जी के बेटा खुद लॉजिकली सोचो, जी के हो जाएंगे दोनों मैचेस, ठीक है। वाई का हो जाएगा एक मैच, तो इनमें से एक टीम तो वाई हो सकती है, ठीक है। और एक टीम हैज टू बी बिटवीन आर एंड बी, दैट इज फॉर श्योर, ठीक है। इसका मतलब ये वाला केस हो ही नहीं सकता, ठीक है। सो दिस केस इज गॉन, ठीक है। इस ये वाला केस कब हो सकता है? जब आर और बी का यहाँ पे मैच हुआ और उसके अगले बार में कोई मैच ही नहीं हुआ, ठीक है। must play against the blue match in a round that is immediately before the round in which, but there is a round in which neither R nor B is playing, so that means ये वाला केस हम उड़ा देंगे, ठीक है। सो आर और बी हम कहाँ रख सकते हैं? आर और बी, ये बड़ा सा बढ़िया सा ऑप्शन हो सकता है। आर और बी अगर यहाँ पे हुआ होगा तो उसके जस्ट बाद में ना तो आर है ना बी है, पॉसिबल, करेक्ट। अगर सी और डी यहाँ पे रहे होंगे तो आर और बी अगर यहाँ होते हैं तो उसके जस्ट बाद में आर और बी में से कोई एक भी नहीं हो सकता, तो जी फिर से हो चुका है, ठीक है। आर और बी अगर हो नहीं सकता तो बचा कौन? ठीक है, आर बी जी वाई, वाई बचा, तो वाई अकेला तो खेलेगा नहीं, तो अगेन ये वाला केस भी गॉन, ठीक है। सो ये दोनों केसेस गॉन। व्हाट इज द ओनली पॉसिबल केस आई कैन गेट इज देयर इज आर बी जी वाई यहाँ पे, और जी अभी किसी और के साथ खेलेगा यहाँ पे, ठीक है। और जी इज ऑलरेडी गॉन, इसका मतलब अब जी वाई बी और आर में से जी दोनों जगहों पे जो आ सकता था आ चुका है, बी अभी एक बार आएगा, आर अभी एक बार आएगा, और वाई अभी भी एक बार आएगा, ठीक है, करेक्ट। रूल 3 हो चुका है। रूल 4, ब्लू टीम्स बी फर्स्ट मैच मस्ट अकर इन एन अर्लियर राउंड देन द ग्रीन टीम्स फर्स्ट मैच। तो ग्रीन टीम का फर्स्ट मैच से जस्ट पहले ब्लू टीम का फर्स्ट मैच हो चुका है, ये ऑलरेडी ट्रू है, ठीक है। द टीम दैट प्लेज अगेंस्ट द रेड टीम इन द राउंड दैट इज नॉट अगेंस्ट द ब्लू टीम, तो आर और बी ने एक मैच यहां खेला है, आर और बी या तो आर के साथ कोई और टीम यहां खेलेगी या आर जी के साथ यहां खेलेगी। इन द राउंड दैट इज नॉट अगेंस्ट द ब्लू टीम इज द सेम टीम दैट प्लेड इन द राउंड डी। इसका मतलब आर के साथ वो टीम खेलेगी जिसने क्या नहीं खेला है, जिसने राउंड डी खेला है, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखो तो अगेन आर और बी का एक एक मैच हो चुका है, एक मैच अभी बचा है। अब आर जी के साथ तो खेल नहीं सकती क्योंकि जी का तो सारे मैचेस हो चुके हैं, तो आर मस्ट प्ले अगेंस्ट येलो टीम, दैट इज द ओनली ऑप्शन। येलो येलो दो बार हो गया, दिस टीम हैज प्लेड 2 मैचेस, नाउ येलो टीम हैज प्लेड 2 मैचेस, ग्रीन टीम हैज प्लेड 2 मैचेस, blue team has played 1 match, red team has played 2 matches, so blue team is the only team which could have played this particular match, and that would become my solution, guys, ठीक है। so A ने RB, B ने GY, C ने GB, D ने RY will become my answer to this particular statement, ठीक है। now let's see the questions, ये सब हटा देते हैं, जस्ट ये जो कंक्लूजन है उसका यूज करेंगे हम लोग। So, considering rule number 1 and 2, which of the following pairs of round contains the green team's 2 matches? Green team's 2 matches is B and C. So, B and C will become my answer. Applying the positional constraint based on all the rules, particularly rule 3, which of the following matches must be scheduled for round A, R and B. R and B. Identify, नीचे आ जाते हैं, ये दो क्वेश्चन सही हो चुके हैं हमारे। Identifying the blue team's first opponent. Blue team's first opponent was red. ठीक है, blue team first opponent was red. Answer खत्म, ठीक है। The next question. Finding the match in round C. What is the match scheduled for round C? Round C में G और B का मैच हुआ होगा, G और B का मैच हुआ होगा, that will be the answer. Identify the teams excluded from a round. which pair of rounds contains matches where the yellow team does not participate. The yellow team will participate in round D and yellow team will participate in round B. तो A और C में उसने नहीं प्ले किया होगा, so 24 का आंसर A हो जाएगा. Okay. The team opponent check. Which team does the yellow team not play against over the course of 4 rounds? तो येलो टीम ने किसके साथ नहीं खेला? येलो टीम ने रेड के साथ खेला है. यस. येलो टीम ने ग्रीन के साथ खेला है. यस. ठीक है. येलो टीम ने ब्लू के साथ नहीं खेला है कोई भी मैच. सो दैट विल बिकम माय आंसर गाइस. रूल वायलेशन. इफ द मैच इन राउंड डी वाज ब्लू वर्सेस येलो, तो अगर ये मैच ब्लू वर्सेस येलो है, ठीक है, so which of the original rules would be violated by this schedule change? So obviously which particular rule will be that particular rule will be guys, देख लेते हैं ऊपर चल के. ठीक है. So the rule 5 says the team that plays against the red team in the round that is not against the blue team, ब्लू टीम के साथ जो मैच नहीं हुआ है, तो रेड टीम यहाँ पे तो कोई मैच खेल ही नहीं रही. ठीक है. दैट इज नॉट अगेंस्ट द ब्लू टीम इज द सेम टीम दैट प्लेज राउंड डी. ठीक है. सो ये द रूल 5 अकॉर्डिंग टू मी विल बी द रूल व्हिच विल बी वायलेटेड इन दिस पर्टिकुलर केस. ठीक है. सो दैट विल बी द आंसर, रूल 5. ठीक है. सो रूल 5 मतलब डी ऑप्शन विल बिकम माय आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. ठीक है. So now we'll move towards the next caselet, which not next caselet, next section, which is the quantitative technique section for you. Okay? In which again the first particular question was still a good question, जहाँ पे आपको कुछ calculations करनी थी, कुछ मेहनत करनी थी. The second question, the second caselet was very easy to solve. ठीक है. जल्दी से उसका analysis भी कर लेते हैं आपके साथ. ठीक है guys? So ये कहानी है पहले से लेकर मेरे ख्याल से इस पूरे फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में ही कहानी है, इसमें तो कुछ भी नहीं करना आपको. The survey covered 180k adults across urban and rural areas. Urban residents form 55% of the sample. हम एक्सपेक्ट करते थे कि आपको सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा, उन्होंने दे दिया कि भैया अर्बन कितने हैं, 99,000 लोग हैं. ठीक है. रूरल कितने हैं, 81,000 लोग हैं. 45% की वैल्यू भी दे दी. वो कैलकुलेशन भी आपसे एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ भी एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया, आगे काफी कुछ कैलकुलेशन एक्सपेक्ट करी है उसने. ठीक है. तो अगर हम यहाँ पे 99,000 लोगों के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो उसमें से उसने आपसे एक्सपेक्ट किया है कि पब्लिक में कितने हैं, उसने आपसे एक्सपेक्ट किया है प्राइवेट इंश्योरेंस वाले कितने लोग हैं, उसने आपसे किया है कि एम्प्लॉयर बेनिफिट वाले कितने लोग हैं, और अनइंश्योर्ड कितने लोग हैं. ठीक है. और द सेम डेटा इज बीइंग यूज्ड फॉर द रूरल ऑल्सो. तो रूरल वाले कैटेगरी में अगर हम बात करें तो उसमें टोटल 81,000 लोग हैं. ठीक है. उनमें से देयर विल बी सम ऑफ देम विल बी फ्रॉम द पब्लिक, सम ऑफ देम प्राइवेट, सम ऑफ द एम्प्लॉय बेनिफिट्स वाले. ये तीनों मिला के आपके बना देंगे वो लोग जो इंश्योर्ड है, और बाकी लोग हो जाएंगे अनइंश्योर्ड. ठीक है. सो एक एक करके डेटा लिखना शुरू करते हैं. ठीक है. सो पब्लिक स्कीम में पब्लिक कवरेज इन अर्बन एरियाज, तो ये वाला अर्बन एरियाज है. ठीक है. और ये वाला रूरल एरियाज है, हम लिख ही चुके हैं ऑलरेडी. ठीक है. तो अर्बन एरियाज वाला पहले लिख लेते हैं. सो 99,000 का आपको क्या निकालना है, 28%. ठीक है. सो 99,000 का 28%. 2 डिजिट मल्टीप्लीकेशन इन सिंगल लाइन मैंने ऑलरेडी आपको पढ़ाया हुआ है. 0 लिखो, यूनिट इनटू यूनिट, 8 9s are 72. Product of mean plus product of extreme, 8 9s are 72. ठीक है. 72 plus 7 79, और 9 2s are 18. 72 plus 18, 72 plus 18 कितना हो जाएगा, 90 हो जाएगा. 90 plus 18 plus 72 हो जाएगा 90. 90 plus 7 is 97. तो अब कैरी हो गया 9, और 9 2s are 18. 18 plus 9 is 27. तो 27720. 27720 20 is the value which will come here. ठीक है, प्राइवेट के बारे में अपन बात करें तो उसमें 22% लोग होंगे, तो इसका 10% कितना होगा 9900, इसका 20% कितना होगा 9900 इंटू 2, ठीक है, वो कितना हो जाएगा 9918 9918 198, और इसका 2% कितना हो जाएगा 1980। ये 20% है तो 2% डिवाइडेड बाय 10 हो जाएगा, तो 0 8 8 8 16 1 17 9 10 11, तो 21780, ठीक है। और अगर मैंने 20% में से जो ये आया था उसमें से अगर मैंने 2% माइनस कर दिया होता तो वो आ जाता क्या आपका 18%, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे आएगा 0, यहाँ पे आएगा 18, यहाँ पे आएगा 17, 10 में से 8 गए 2, और यहाँ पे आ जाएगा 8, यहाँ पे आ जाएगा 17, तो 17,820, ठीक है। और बाकी के सारे क्या हो जाएंगे अनइंश्योर्ड, जो कि उसने परसेंटेज में बताया कि वो 32% है, ठीक है। अब 32% निकालने के लिए आप 9900 इंटू 3 कर दोगे, तो 10% इंटू 3 करोगे तो 9 3 27, 9 3 27, 27 प्लस 2 29, इसको इससे ऐड करोगे तो 32 आ जाएगा, 9 10 16, 9 10 11, 31680, तो 31680 विल बी द वैल्यू ऑफ अनइंश्योर्ड, ठीक है। इन तीनों को अगर आप ऐड ऑन करोगे तो आपके टोटल इंश्योर्ड लोग कितने हैं वो आ जाएंगे, विच विल बी हाउ मच 0 8 2 10 और 2 12, 1 कैरी, 7 प्लस 1 8, 7 14, 14 plus 1 50, 14 plus 8 will be how much 22 plus 1 23, 2 carry, 7 plus 2 9, 10, 10 plus 7 17, 1 carry, 2 4 and 6, so this, और अपने आंसर को क्रॉस चेक करना चाहते हो तो इसका और इसका समीशन 99,000 होना चाहिए। 0 8 और 2 10, 1 कैरी, 9 और 1 10, 8 और 1 9, 6 और 3 9, तो हमने क्रॉस चेक भी कर लिया कि हमने बिल्कुल सही सॉल्व किया है। एवरीथिंग एल्स इज जस्ट अ सॉल्यूशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन नाउ, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट पार्ट विल बी रूरल में क्या हो जाएगा, 30% कवरेज विल बी प्राइवेट, तो इसका 10% कितना होगा 8100, इसका 30% कितना हो जाएगा 24300, ये हो गया 30%। इसका अगर 10% 8100 है तो उसका 5% उसका आधा हो जाएगा, जस्ट डिवाइडेड बाय 2 हो जाएगा 4050, will be 0538, so 28350, so 28350 will be this value 35%। इसका ये पब्लिक है, ठीक है। प्राइवेट इज 10%, बढ़िया सा 8100 हो गया वो तो। एम्प्लॉयर इज एट 8%, so 10% अगर 8100 है, ठीक है, तो इसका 2% 20% कितना आएगा 16200, और इसका 2% है 16200 डिवाइडेड बाय 10, इसको जब आप ऐड ऑन करोगे तो 9720 विल बिकम योर आंसर, ठीक है गाइस, ठीक है। या फिर आप 81,000 का 1% 810 होगा, तो इसको आप इंटू 8 कर दोगे तब भी आपका यही आंसर आएगा, 1% इंटू 8, 6480 होना चाहिए था, अच्छा सॉरी सब्ट्रैक्ट करना था बाय 2%, मैंने गलती से ऐड कर दिया होगा, 6480 विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर, ठीक है। इन तीनों को आप अगर ऐड ऑन कर दोगे तो आपको ये वैल्यू आ जाएगी कि कितने लोग इंश्योर्ड हैं, ठीक है, विच विल बी 0 8 5 13, 1 कैरी, है ना, 8 प्लस 1 9 प्लस 1 10, 10 प्लस 4 इज 14, अगेन 1 कैरी, 2 प्लस 8 प्लस 2 10, 16 17, तो सॉरी कुछ ना कुछ एरर की अपन ने, तो यहाँ पे 0 आएगा, 8 5 13, 1 कैरी, ठीक है, दैट विल बी 3 plus 1 4 5 5 plus 4 is 9 ठीक है 8 and 8 16 16 plus 6 22 2 carry ठीक है and then 2 plus 2 is 4 so 42930 will be your total insured people uninsured कितने हो जाएंगे then uninsured people will be 47%. 50% कितना होगा इसका just आधा कर दो it will be 40500 ठीक है that is 50%. इसका 1% कितना था 810 उसका 3% हो जाएगा into 3 कर दो सॉरी 03 2430 इसमें से 2430 अगर आप सब्ट्रैक्ट करोगे तो 38070 38070 will be the uninsured people. Just to cross check, this plus this should be equals to 81,000. So 0, 7 plus 3 is 10, 1 carry, 9 plus 1 is 10, again 1 carry, 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 1, 11, and 1 carry tha, so 4 plus 4, 8. So everything is cross-checked as well. ठीक है? So this is the complete data. Everything else was solution, तो वो मैं उड़ा देता हूँ. Okay, sorry. ये वाली जो वैल्यू थी वो 42,930 वो मेरे को लिखनी चाहिए थी. So it was 42,08513 1 carry था 3 4 5 5 plus 4 is 9 and this was 0 10 10 11 yes so this is the total insured wala part ठीक है the ratio of the insured adults to in urban ratio rural so urban में insured कितने लोग हैं 67320 67320 was the insured lot and 42930 was the uninsured was the insured lot in rural ठीक है so when you will solve it you will realize that इसका आंसर B option आएगा ठीक है just check it out you will get the answer ठीक है देख लेना 3 से जा रहा 5 8 7 check कर लीजिएगा this will be your answer by what percentage is the number of uninsured in rural the number of uninsured in rural that was 38070 higher than अब then के बाद में जो noun आता है उसको हम नीचे रखते हैं so uninsured in urban कितने हैं uninsured in urban is 31680 इनका जो डिफरेंस है वो आएगा न्यूमरेटर में ठीक है इसका जो डिफरेंस है वो आएगा न्यूमरेटर में अपॉन जो देन के बाद में जो नाउन आता है ठीक है दैट इज 31680 वो आएगा डिनोमिनेटर में इनटू 100 जब आप सॉल्व करोगे तो यू विल गेट योर आंसर ठीक है आई एम नॉट सॉल्विंग राइट नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ द टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट सो योर आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन विल बी 20.17 ठीक है If the total population grows by 5% next year and all the percentage shares remain the same, including the urban and rural split, how many additional private insured people will there be? ठीक है तो कितने additionally private insured people हो जाएंगे तो आप पहले 81,000 का 5% आप बढ़ाओगे ठीक है वो एक पर्टिकुलर नंबर आएगा ठीक है 99,000 का 5% आप बढ़ाओगे ठीक है एंड देन उसमें से आपको प्राइवेटली वाला पार्ट चाहिए तो यहाँ पे उसका कितना परसेंटेज हो जाएगा सो लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू दैट तो 99,000 का 1.05 दैट इज 5% इंक्रीज करने के बाद की वैल्यू ठीक है वो और यहाँ पे हो जाएगा 81,000 का 5% इंक्रीज के बाद करने की वैल्यू वो और इस वैल्यू का प्राइवेट वाला पार्ट कितना है ठीक है लेट्स गो बैक अप and see the private percentage for both the scenarios was how much private percentage was 22% in this case and 10% in the second case so 22% yeah तो इसका आप करोगे 22% और इसका आप करोगे 10%, ठीक है। एंड इसका जो डिफरेंस आएगा दैट विल बी योर आंसर। अगेन कैलकुलेशन इंटेंसिव है बट जो है वो है, तो इसका आंसर 1494 आएगा, which is obviously calculation intensive. Again repeating, ठीक है। The total number of employer covered adults is, तो employer covered adults इस वैल्यू को अगर आप इस वैल्यू से ऐड ऑन कर दोगे तो you'll get your answer 17820, और जब आप 6480 से ऐड ऑन करोगे you get 8 plus 2 is 10, 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 13, 10 plus 7 is 14, so 24,300 will be C option and that will be your answer, ठीक है। The next question says, what percentage of all insured adults are public insured? What percentage of all insured adults? Insured adults कितने हैं? ये सारे हैं। Are publicly insured. Publicly insured के लिए आप 28350 है ना, और यहाँ पे कितने हैं 27720, इसको ऐड ऑन करोगे और डिवाइड कर दोगे किससे, द टोटल नंबर ऑफ इंश्योर्ड एडल्ट्स। तो इंश्योर्ड वाला पार्ट आ जाएगा इन तीनों का समेशन विच विल बी 67320, और यहाँ पे आ जाएगा इंश्योर्ड एडल्ट्स 42930, और दिस इनटू 100। अगेन दिस वाज आल्सो अ कैलकुलेशन इंटेंसिव क्वेश्चन, ठीक है। And that will be approximately, if I'm not wrong, the answer was 50.86. Okay? The percentage of the total surveyed population was insured. What percentage of total surveyed population? The total surveyed population was 1,80,000. उसमें से insured value क्या थी? So insured value will be the denominator. So this 3 plus 2 is 5, 9 plus 3 is 12, 10 plus 2 is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10, 6 plus 4 is 10, 10 plus 1 is 11. So 110250 upon 1,80,000 into 100 as आप solve करोगे, so you'll get the answer 61.25, and that will be your answer. I'm not solving it because again of the time constraint part, but yes, this was step by step मैंने आपको ये बता दी करना कैसे, ठीक है। So this was the first case slate guys, which was a tricky one. अगर आप इसमें अगर आपने कुछ क्वेश्चंस कर लिए होते जो इजी थे, और कुछ क्वेश्चन पूरे क्वेश्चन यहाँ से कर लिए होते, इट वुड हैव बीन द बेस्ट डिसीजन फॉर यू, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे हमें क्या क्या पता है, जनरेशन फ्रॉम कोल इज इतना, गैस का इतना है, हाइड्रो का इतना है, ठीक है। तो अगेन लेट मी जस्ट जॉट डाउन फॉर यू। द डेटा इज टॉकिंग अबाउट क्वार्टर वाइज डिटेल्स, so quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, ठीक है। and then it is talking about coal, it is talking about gas, ठीक है, it is talking about hydro, ठीक है, it is talking about hydro, it is talking about solar, and it is talking about wind, ठीक है। These are all the details, correct? And then there will be the total value, ठीक है। So what are the values given, एक एक करके नोट कर लेते हैं। तो यहाँ पे कोल का 2200 है, ठीक है। कोल का यहाँ पे 2400 है, कोल का यहाँ पे 2100 है, ठीक है। कोल का यहाँ पे 2300 है, ठीक है। गैस का 800 है, ठीक है, क्वार्टर 1 में। क्वार्टर 2 में गैस का 700 है, क्वार्टर 3 में गैस का 900 है, क्वार्टर 4 में गैस का 850 है, ठीक है। ठीक है, हाइड्रो वाला ये वाला ये वाला यहाँ पे लिखेंगे अपन अभी, ठीक है। तो हाइड्रो वाला इज हाउ मच, 900, सोलर वॉज 700, विंड वॉज 400, ठीक है। क्योंकि क्वार्टर 1 की कहानी, क्वार्टर 2 में द हाइड्रो वॉज 1000, सोलर वॉज 800, एंड द विंड वॉज 600, ठीक है। क्वार्टर 3 में द hydro was 800, solar was 1000, and the wind was 700. Here, the hydro was 1100, okay. Solar was 900, and wind was 850. Correct? Okay. The total in all the portions, let me just write it here. Quarter 1 का जो total था, that was 5000. Quarter 2 का जो total था, that was 5500. Quarter 3 का जो total था, that was 5500. Quarter 4 का total was 6000. Okay, these were all the details. Now the renewable energy was taken as hydro, solar, wind. So इन तीनों का जो summation है, this was considered to be renewable. Okay, and a carbon policy scenario proposes cutting Q4 coal by 10%. Quarter 4 में it is 2300. इसका 10% मतलब 230 का कट यहाँ पे एक्सपेक्टेड है. ठीक है, शिफ्टिंग द एंटायर रिडक्शन इक्वली इनटू सोलर एंड विंड. तो ये 230 दो जगह में बटेगा, तो 230 का हाफ कितना हो जाएगा, 115. तो वो सोलर और विंड में प्लस का 115 और प्लस का 115 लेके आएगा. यहाँ से 230 जाएगा, यहाँ पे 115 डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो जाएगा. दैट इज व्हाट इज गिवन इन द होल पैसेज. ठीक है, इससे ज्यादा आपको कुछ करना ही नहीं था, बहुत इजी क्वेश्चन होने वाला है. अब आगे आप क्वेश्चन देखिएगा बस. ठीक है, सो व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. द टोटल एनुअल जनरेशन इज हाउ मच. टोटल एनुअल जनरेशन, द समेशन ऑफ 5000, 5500, 5500, 6000. दैट इज योर आंसर. 5500 5500 हो गया 11000, 6000 5000 हो गया 11000, 11000 11000 हो गया 22000. So 22,000 becomes the answer. That's it, nothing more. ठीक है. The overall renewable share as a percentage of annual generation. So annual generation कितने का है, 22,000 का है. तो 22,000 आएगा डिनोमिनेटर में, into 100 करना है. इसमें से renewable कितना है, renewable will be a summation of all these. ठीक है, तो वो कितना होगा, 900 और 1100 हो जाएगा 2000, 3000, 3800. याद रखिएगा ये वाला पार्ट अभी हुआ नहीं है, ये एक्सपेक्टेड है. तो अगर क्वेश्चन आएगा तब हम करेंगे. ठीक है, यहाँ पे 700 800 हो जाएगा 1500, 1500 2500, 2500 और 900, 2500 और 900, 2500 और 1000 हो जाता 3500, 3400 आएगा इसमें. और यहाँ पे 600 400 1000 और 700 800 हो जाएगा 1550, 1550 और 1000 2550. ठीक है, for the total of these three it will be 50. 5 plus 4 is 9, 16 17, 1 carry, 3 और 3 6 और 3 9. So 9750 is the total divided by 22,000 into 100 we are supposed to do. ठीक है, so 22 4 हो जाएगा 44, सॉरी 22 4 हो जाएगा 88, बचेगा कितना 95. तो फिर से आएगा 88. ठीक है, 95 से छोटा 88, 88 का डिफरेंस हो जाएगा 70. ठीक है, पॉइंट लगाओगे तो कुछ 3 के आसपास आएगा, क्योंकि अगर 88 और होता तो वो 4 आता, लेकिन 44.3 के आसपास सिर्फ एक ही ऑप्शन है. दैट्स व्हाई सी ऑप्शन विल बिकम माय आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. द क्वार्टर विद द हाईएस्ट रिन्यूएबल परसेंटेज शेयर इज. ठीक है, तो किस क्वार्टर में हाईएस्ट रिन्यूएबल परसेंटेज शेयर था. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो 700 400 1100, 1100 और 900 हो गया 2000. तो क्वार्टर 1 में था 2000, क्वार्टर 2 में था 1400 और 1000 2400, क्वार्टर 3 में था 1500 और 1000 2500, क्वार्टर 4 में था 1100 और 900 हो गया 2000, 2850. बट ये क्वेश्चन नहीं है कि हाईएस्ट कहाँ पे था, हाईएस्ट परसेंटेज शेयर कहाँ पे था. तो दिस 2000 विल बी डिवाइडेड बाय 5000, क्योंकि टोटल in quarter 1 was 5000 into 100 जब मैं करूंगा I'll get the percentage value to be 40%, correct? 2400 था जबकि टोटल 5500 था, into 100 मुझे करना चाहिए लेकिन मैं करूंगा नहीं. क्यों? क्योंकि अगला वाला भी एज अ सेम बेस और उसका जो न्यूमरेटर है वो बड़ा है, तो ऑब्वियसली बात है ये वैल्यू जो भी होगी दैट विल बी मोर देन दिस वैल्यू. ठीक है, ये वैल्यू विल बी मोर देन दिस वैल्यू. तो हाईएस्ट निकालना है तो क्यों मैं फालतू में ये वाली कैलकुलेशन भी करूं. ठीक है, सो 5 5s 5 11s 1 upon 11 होता है 9.09, 5 upon 11 हो जाएगा 45.45. दिस वैल्यू विल बी 45.45%. ठीक है, और ये भी 40% से तो ज्यादा ही होगा, इसलिए सेकंड हाईएस्ट मतलब इससे तो बड़ा ही है. 2850 is with a total of 6000 into 100. I am supposed to do 2020 6 4s are 24 के बाद बचेगा 45, 7s are 42, फिर बचेगा 30. ठीक है, 47.5% के आसपास आंसर आएगा. तो हाईएस्ट तो यही है, तो क्वार्टर 4 विल बिकम माय आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, एक और क्वेश्चन था विच इज द लोएस्ट. तो लोएस्ट का आंसर सीधे सीधे 40% हो जाएगा, मैं सॉल्व करने की जरूरत नहीं है, मतलब क्वार्टर 1 विल बी द लोएस्ट. ठीक है, नीचे जाके चेक कर लेते हैं वो कौन सा क्वेश्चन था. क्वार्टर विद द लोएस्ट रिन्यूएबल परसेंटेज शेयर वाज क्वार्टर 1. ठीक है, द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन सेज अगर जो कार्बन पॉलिसी है वो जो रिड्यूस करने का बोला था उसने वो हो भी जाता है और वो सोलर और विंड में शिफ्ट भी हो जाता है, तो न्यू Q4 सोलर विल बी व्हाट. द न्यू Q4 सोलर विल बी 900 और 115, that will be 1015 and that will be your answer. The annual gas ratio hydro generation ratio is, तो annual gas कितना हो रहा है टोटल मिला के, इन सबका एडिशन करो. ठीक है, that will be how much, 1500 और 900, 1500 और 900 हो गया 2400, 2400 और 800 हो जाएगा 3200 और 50, 3250. इट्स रेशियो विथ हाइड्रो का टोटल हम ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं 3800 है. इसका रेशियो हमें निकालना था, जब आपने सॉल्व किया होगा तो इसका आंसर 65:76 आया होगा एंड दैट इज योर आंसर. 5 6 30 65, 5 7 35, 35 का बचा 30, तो ये जाएगा दिस आंसर. एंड दिस वाज द लास्ट क्वेश्चन आई गेस. यस, दिस वाज द लास्ट क्वेश्चन. दिस वाज द कंप्लीट सॉल्यूशन ऑफ क्वांटिटेटिव टेक्निक एंड एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग फॉर यू गाइस, एंड आई होप आपको सॉल्व करने में आसानी हुई होगी. द बेस्ट थिंग वाज चूजिंग द करेक्ट केसलेट टू सॉल्व फर्स्ट, ताकि आपको कॉन्फिडेंस मिल जाता, तो जो भी टाइम आपका बचा होता आप उसको सेकंड केसलेट में कुछ क्वेश्चन भी कर लेते तो आपको अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस आप कर पाते. ठीक है, तो आई गेस आउट ऑफ क्वांटिटेटिव टेक्निक सेक्शन आई वुड से द फर्स्ट 6 क्वेश्चंस वर वेरी डूएबल, बिल्कुल पूरे पूरे हो जाने चाहिए थे. दिस क्वेश्चंस, ठीक है, जो फर्स्ट वाला केसलेट था वो केसलेट इजी था लेकिन कैलकुलेशन इंटेंसिव था. ठीक है, तो आपने जो टाइम लिमिटेशन अपने लिए रखी थी उतने उसमें जितने क्वेश्चंस कर सकते थे आपको करने चाहिए थे, तो दैट इज व्हाई वी से कि अराउंड 8 शुड बी अ सेफ स्कोर और अ गुड स्कोर. आई वुड से सॉरी, a good score will be 8 to 10 के बीच में कहीं ना कहीं होगा, and the safe score would be around say anything between 6 to 8, क्योंकि 6 क्वेश्चंस तो बिल्कुल एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि जो भी पर्सन अटेम्प्ट करेगा वो क्वेश्चन जरूर कर पाएगा ये पूरे क्योंकि कुछ भी ऐसा डिफिकल्ट नहीं था. एज फार एज एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग इज कंसर्न, आपके लिए out of 26 questions that came, according to me 22 questions should have been solved, though थोड़ा सा टाइम टेकिंग था, आपको स्किमिंग और स्कैनिंग प्रोसेस करना था, आप वो कर लेते तो आपके स्कोर्स काफी अच्छे आ सकते. राइट, दैट वाज द होल एनालिसिस गाइस. आई होप यू डू वेल. ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स हु आर सीइंग अस फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर सेशन, प्लीज एंश्योर गाइस कि अभी एनालिसिस के बाद आपके लिए टेकिंग ये होनी चाहिए कि आईलेट के लिए प्रिपरेशन हमें नेक्स्ट चैप्टर से करनी है. काफी डेप्थ में डिस्कशन हो चुका है. अब डू नॉट वॉच एनी अदर वीडियो, एनी अदर सोर्स, बिल्कुल मत देखिए. अब जस्ट फोकस करिए अपनी आईलेट की प्रिपरेशन के लिए, बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट इज गोइंग टू कम फॉरवर्ड. अब आप कोई भी पीछे जाके चेंज नहीं कर सकते, है ना. एंड एवरी कंसेप्ट दैट वी डिस्कस इन द क्लास हैज कम, तो नोबडी कैन से कि कुछ आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स आ गया या कुछ सरप्राइज फैक्टर था. सो इट वाज जस्ट अबाउट यू नो स्टेइंग काम and just reading the questions in the proper. Okay, thank you guys.